All right, we should have sound now. I upgraded my computer this morning. I still have Twitch open from begins. Okay, now we should be good. I need chat. All right, everybody. I was gonna try and work on like a Go bot today, but it sounded like we were kind of struggling with channels a little bit. So if everybody wants to talk about channels, then I am happy to try to do that instead. So let's do like a quick poll. Does everybody want me to talk about channels and Go routines really quick before working on something? Okay, perfect. Let's do that. I had the code open here for this. Okay, so this is sort of what we were struggling with. So the big thing to look at here is these things really need to be done in parallel. So think of kind of two threads executing side by side, and they're passing data between each other, and they're going to block until the other side is ready. So let me pull up the code here. Got caught off guard here with the raid. So when we get here, oh, this is where I was messing with this. Let me go find that example that Begin was working on. So go by example. There we go. Blocking channel operations. So here we've got our two channels. They are both unbuffered, which means any send or receive from them is going to be a blocking operation. So when we hit this first select here, we're going to try to receive from messages because there is no sender. Yeah, because there is no sender currently in another thread trying to push to that channel, this would effectively block. But because we have this default here, it's going to fall through to the default because we don't want to block. And this whole thing is what's known as a non-blocking receive. The next one is demonstrating the opposite case, which is where we just declare message here. We want to send message on the messages channel. But because we do not have a Go routine out there somewhere blocking, waiting for a message to come in, that's going to be a blocking operation. So this case will not trigger. It will fall through to the default as well. And then the final select statement is looking to see whether either one of these cases is available, but only one, and they're not checked in order. So it's quickly looking to see whether there's any messages available to read from messages or signals from signals. If neither is available, meaning there is something blocking trying to send on those channels, we're going to end up hitting the default case. Small text. There we go. Okay. Does that make sense, everybody? Does that resonate? So let me copy this into an editor really quick. Yeah, copy. And this is Rust. Everybody avert your eyes. Let's just open a new folder. Yeah, we'll just go in here. I have a whole bunch of projects set up here. I was not prepared for all of this. So here, let's... And I'm going to show off VS Code here instead of Vim, because why not? All right, we have all of our code. And yeah, see, these are those moments. So I've been trying to use VS Code for, I don't know, a little while. I'm mostly a Vim person, so if you watch me fumble around, that is why. I decided recently that I was going to try and switch up my development environment to just try new things to see what all of the cool kids are using. Yeah, I know I can do it there too. I just figure kind of doing it here in the terminal, we'd get a lot better syntax highlighting and things like that. 5 years, wow. I got into it because one of the people who work on the Vim or the Go plugin for VS Code came on a podcast I did about Go, and I promised her that I would try it. So here I am. Okay, so now I'm trying to remember the issue that Begin was having. I think it was something along these lines where we're trying to send something to messages here. And so the reason this is going to give us a deadlock is because we're sending on this messages channel, but there's not a receiver, so there's nobody trying to read from the channel in another thread. So this is just like, hey, I'm going to hang out here until somebody is ready. Let me bump up the font here too. So this is basically like, I'm going to hang out here. I'm going to wait until there is a receiver. But because this is the main thread of execution, there are no other threads. So we never give this next block of code time to run. So that's why we end up deadlocking. So Begin was right when he was talking about how this would work. So I guess we already walked through that. Now, the one thing I actually was confused by is why this did not run, because this should run. All right. Expression in Go must be function call. What do we mess up? Oh, there we go. So this part actually does confuse me, because let's walk through this. So we fire off a Go routine. Inside of that, we are selecting on the messages channel, and we have a default case, so we should see no messages received. Is that just because of that? So this may actually just be a race condition with function main. I'm willing to bet if we put a time.sleep in here for, I don't know, that this we'll see what we expect here. No, we do not. Why do we not? Let's see. Which one of these we got? We got no messages sent, which is expected. No, it is not expected. Because in theory, this should be blocking until this sends. It won't because of that default case, but the fact that we don't see that makes me wonder why this is not being called. The mystery continues, only with a better detective. Yeah, this is actually weird, and I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I'm missing something really obvious. Let's break this down to something a little simpler, just to see whether we can understand why this is happening. So we've got messages. If we try to send to messages here, this is going to fail. I don't like this terminal here. It's taking up too much space. This is going to deadlock on us, right? Because we have nothing available to read. Now, if we trigger a go routine here, that reads from messages and prints it, then we get hello. So why, when we do the select, does that not work? Let's try that. Let's figure out, we're gonna iron out which part of this is giving us false assumptions. So let's put this in a select. And we're gonna check case message. And then we're just gonna print that out. Now this should work the same. Okay, so this still works. So if we put the sleep after, then oh yeah, you're right, Joker Dan. Yeah, because the original code, if we look at it, where are we? Yeah, the original code, if we looked at it, it blocked for yes. Joker, you win all of the points. So the reason that wasn't working before is this all happens so quickly before that sleep got to run. So in this case, if we move this to a select, and we're not going to do anything. We're just going to leave that empty. And then put our default case in here. Did not send. So this is a timing issue. Why is this a timing issue? So there is an onload deal. There's a little bit of timing here with how fast this stuff happens, but this should work. Now I want to try something. Let's try to comment this out, oops, and just directly read from the channel. And we still did not send. Now this is actually really confusing. And here I was thinking it was just an explanation thing. I personally do not see why this should not work. We have a go routine out there. It's waiting to read from messages. And we select on this. It should be able to send. Glad we're not the only one. Yeah, because this to me should work. I actually don't understand why this is not working. This should be in another thread right now, blocking waiting to receive. Right, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's waiting. So this should be blocking waiting for the send. And now let's try it this way. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Now let's try it without the select. And we get nothing. It does not deadlock on us, though. Let's print this out. Yeah, so we get hello here. This is making no sense. Now let's uncomment out our select. Aren't you using a sync channel with an async routine? Isn't that a problem in Go? No, so there isn't sort of like in JavaScript or things like that when you're talking about promises where you need to have an async function. Those aren't defined that way. Go coroutines are sort of different. This sort of launches it off into another green thread, as they're known in other languages. They're basically these lightweight threads that are multiplexed onto real system threads under the hood. We don't need to declare the function itself as async because it's not returning a promise or a future. All right, let's see. Did not send. Why are you not sending? Did I not save that file? Is that the issue? No, still did not send. So why is our default case being hit when there is a channel waiting? And the only thing I can think of is that it's a slight timing issue. Let's sleep here for just one. We don't need nearly this long, but what are you yelling at me for? There we go. So it did, wait a second. Well, so that's not, so we could buffer the channel, that is true, but that's not really what we're trying to solve here. Buffering the channel would be fine, right? But in this particular case, this thread, I'm going to use the term thread loosely. It's not actually a system thread if we want to get technical. But this thread of execution, this go routine, should be blocking at this point. We throw it out there. This should block because it is an unbuffered channel. So there is nothing to receive from it. So we should block here. Then we should sleep for 1 second, which guarantees that this thing is running. Why is our default case being triggered? The default part is messing it to work. You need to remove it. Right, but so that's not actually, so that's actually what we're trying to work on right now, is the idea of non-blocking send. So the main go routine is not blocked, so it ends the program. That is true. However, this send should still happen. The only question is, let's add this sleep here. Yeah, we still did not send. So we could remove the default, but we actually want to keep it there because what we're trying to demonstrate here is a non-blocking send. The way this should work is if messages is ready to receive a message, then our message should be transmitted. If it is not ready to receive a message, then we should trigger this default case. Now, the problem I'm having right now is it seems to always want to trigger the default case and not this case, even though we've thrown that out into a Go routine that should be blocking. And we can test that by saying, we should be able to see this here. Waiting for message. And I can't spell. Okay. So it is an ordering issue. So we got our did not send before our waiting for message. So there must be a timing issue with this Go routine being started. However, we did put this sleep up here, and that still did not fix that ordering issue. Waiting for message. Okay. So, and then we have another timing issue here because we're pushing the message and then we've got nothing left to do. So then the main function returns before this is printed. This makes sense. Okay. Yeah, so that's our issue. It's just really a timing issue with how fast this executes. So the Go runtime is not having time, does not have sufficient time to actually run this Go routine before all of this logic triggers. And then at the end, we're not giving the scheduler time to switch back to our Go routine for this print line to happen before main exits. That makes sense. Hopefully, are you still here, Begin? Like, I'm really hoping he saw this so that he doesn't realize, so he doesn't think he's completely crazy for that not working. Because I actually, when we talked about wrapping that select, that should have worked. All right, so here's another thing while you're here with when we're talking about channels and selects and things like that. One thing that we can do, let's just delete all of this. And we talked about range yesterday. So one thing we can actually do is go func. We can range over messages as well. Let's, oops, 4, there we go. Now, what this is going to do is iterate over the messages channel. What it's basically going to do is block on every message, on every receive until it gets a new message. And then we're going to execute the inside of this loop. Say, oh, y'all wanted some Go routines? I ain't got time for that. My work is done here. Sassy main func. I'm actually really surprised because I would have figured that Go routine would have been fired off in time. And I believe that it used to be. So it's possible there's some slight timing differences in the Go compiler. So yeah, so we've got this. So what we could do here is keep pushing messages. So we could say messages, hello. And we don't give it time. So what we could do here is then We could create a channel that says I'm done. Oops. And then what we'll do after this is we will signal that we are done by pushing a bool, oops, true, onto that channel. And then I'm going to do, this is broken on purpose because I want to demonstrate something. He said no and left. Okay, so let's demonstrate something really quick. So here, this code will block forever. It may deadlock on us, or it will block forever. Yeah, okay. So at this point, it realizes that all of the Go routines are asleep, and we deadlocked. And the reason for that is this range is going to block continuously looking for a new read. It doesn't know to stop reading. So it's just going to, after it prints the 2 that we sent, it's just going to sit here waiting for the next message. So the way we get around this is we close the channel. Oops, not the done one. We want the messages one. This is our way of signaling. This is our way of signaling to the channel that we are done sending messages. And in fact, any new sends on this channel will panic. And this will return reading from a channel. We should get a second. Can we do it with range? Invalid type, iteration over message channel string permits only one iteration variable. So we can't do it through here. Why can't we do it through there? Bear with me, I've been a little away from Go for a little bit. So typically, let's get rid of this. And I'll show you this. So if we were to read from the channel, we would actually get 2 values. The first one is our message that we could print. The second one this is also a little shorthand for you too. Both in checking whether something exists in a hash map, you also get this sort of OK value from it. We can do this all on one line. I want to eat. Did we make sense of this thing yet? We did make sense of this thing, Joker Dan. It turned out to be just a timing issue where the main thread was executing faster than the Go runtime was both creating the Go routine and executing it. And then again, at the end, when it was executing the select statement to print off, or it executed the select statement so fast that the Go routine didn't get a chance to print. Okay, so in this particular case, we could just put a loop around this as well. Oh, wait. This is why. Sorry. So this is exactly what this does. Range automatically checks whether or not it was a receive. So the reason for this is, ignore this range up here. Let's talk about this one first. So we're looping continuously. This for loop is going to run forever until we break out of it. And then I guess we could break. This is going to loop forever. Each iteration, we're going to try and read a message off of the messages channel. We're going to check this OK property, which says, is the channel closed, basically, because if it's closed, M is going to be the 0 value of whatever this is. So it's just going to, if we did not check this, we would just keep reading false and not know that this is not a real message, that we're just getting junk because the channel has been closed. So we check OK to see whether or not the channel is closed. If it is OK, then we print it. If not, we break out of the loop, then we hit done. Now we can cheat and not do all of that by doing this range. And range is just going to keep looping for us, and it's going to stop looping when OK becomes untrue. It doesn't keep looping though, right? It blocks until it receives. Correct. So each iteration of that loop, let's bring it back. Each iteration of this loop, it's going to block here for the receive and not do anything else. It will not iterate back around until a receive happens. Yes, you'll need a select statement in the for block. So you don't need a select statement unless you're trying to do more than one thing. So you have multiple Go routines out there, and you want to read from whichever of those happens to be ready right now. That's when you would use a select statement, or you would use a select statement in the topic that Begin was finishing up with on his stream, which is non-blocking sends and receives. And when we talk about this non-blocking send and receive, you can actually do some really interesting patterns with it too. I'm going to show you a cool little one if everybody wants to see this. So say we have messages here, and let's say these are alerts or something like that going over a WebSocket or chat. Yeah, let's just say they're alerts or something, and we don't really care about all of them. So we could take, let's just say messages are trying to fetch alerts. So we could, what is this? Oh, it's not used. So now we have a channel of a slice of strings, which means we're going to send slices of strings over the channel. Now, what we can do if we have a new message, right, is we can take our message and put it inside of a slice. So let's just say our message is hello. We're going to go with that. So now we have a slice of just this one string, and this is just yelling at me because I'm not using them. Now we want to push this down the channel. So messages, we're going to send this message. Now, if this, we don't want this to block, right? We want our code to do additional things. So a cool little pattern that you can do is we can select on the channel, trying to push on it. Oops. Case. Okay. That's fine. Now, what we want to handle is if the client is not ready to receive our new messages. So what we can do here is we know now that there's on this buffered channel, we're going to just put one. So now we can put one slice in this channel waiting for our client to read from. Now we trigger against this. We're like, hey, I'm going to try and send you a new message. You're not ready for that message. Okay, so what we want to do is then we can read from the channel, because at this point we know that it's blocking, right? Really, we want to do a non-blocking read here, but for sake of brevity, we'll do this. So now we have the slice of messages that were in the buffer waiting for the client to read. And then we can take that message and we can append our new message to it. And then we can push it back onto the channel. Does that make sense to everybody? Cannot use m variable of type string as string. Oh. So, and what I'm doing here is exploding this out. So This is a slice of strings. I'm basically sending to append multiple parameters that are all of the strings that were inside of that. Okay, so while we're in here and doing some Go debugging and things like that, is there any other topics that we want to cover here that were maybe confusing inside of begins? I'm happy to. I can change the title of this thing, and we can just do covering Go problems. We talked about range. We talked about the select a little bit. What else would be good? I don't want to get too ahead of Begin because I know he's still streaming his thing. So I mainly want to answer questions of things that have already been covered and not so much run into the stuff he's going to be doing tomorrow. I do a good amount of Go dev, and these patterns are good to see. Yeah, they're really interesting. If you go through the Go standard library, you can find all kinds of really idiomatic patterns. You can also find some really gnarly code too that was transpiled from C to Go when they started self-hosting the compiler. So you have to be careful about that. But I think they've been by hand fixing a lot of that stuff. Let's see what other things are confusing. Let's talk about wait groups as another pattern. So let's say we have multiple Go routines here, right? Awesome, this was helpful. I have to run. Wish I could stay and watch. Thanks for rating me, Begin. This is awesome. I love having people hang out, and I'll be on tomorrow to help with whatever you're working on. So I'm gonna walk through what this wait group thing is because it's another pattern when we have multiple Go routines. So we have the select as a means to say which one of these channels is ready to read. But what if we're in a position where we want to wait for all of them to finish? And that's sort of where this comes in. So package sync. So inside this sync package, inside the standard library, we have a few different things that we can use, like a mutex, which you may be familiar from other languages. We also have a read-write mutex so that we can have some things waiting to read and other things waiting to write. And then we have this wait group. So this pattern really is, we're going to establish a lot of times people just abbreviate it as WG. Actually, we can just do, because we don't need to do a new on that. So now we have our wait group. Now what we can do here is, I don't know, we're just going to make up a few things. So we've got a few Go functions, or Go routines. In here, when we call it, let's put it here for safety so that we don't have a timing issue. We're just going to add a number to it. You almost always see this as 1. And then inside of here, we can do some work. And then we can tell the wait group that we are done. And we could fire off, I don't know, however many of these there are. So one example of this might be, let's say you want to do, you have a bunch of clients and you want to do a graceful shutdown. You want to wait for each of these clients to finish disconnecting. Maybe you stop allowing new requests, but you want to allow old requests to finish. So this would be a good example of how you would do something like that. You could create this wait group. You could spin each client off into their own Go routine, so no one client is blocking other clients. And then you would use this, and then your graceful shutdown, you would just do a wait group .done. And this would block until the internal number inside of this sync.wait group becomes 0. So all this really is doing is we're incrementing it by 1, and every time done is called, we're decrementing it by 1. And then this will just block until the value is 0. Let's see, other patterns here. I actually think, being that I think most of you came over from Begin's stream and are trying to pick up Go, maybe it'll be helpful. Why don't you all send me your questions in chat, or even code examples, your code, and I'm happy to pull that stuff up. I think that might be a lot more helpful than me just building a bot. If not, one thing I've been thinking about doing is building a Twitch bot in Go, and I'm happy to try to get that started now. I'm a little unprepared because it was sort of like, hey, I'll spin up a stream. If the weight group never decrements down to 0, does it block forever? Yes. Yes. So it's the same thing as sort of reading from a channel. This will block until all of them are finished. And Go routines can leak. So that is something to be aware of. If you spin up a bunch of Go routines and they're blocking on sends or reads or things like that, and then you never send on that channel, you can keep you can be in a position where more and more Go routines are being spun up, and you can leak them over time. And if it's a command line program, maybe that's not a big deal. If this is a running service in production that needs to run forever, then you put yourself in a situation where the amount of memory you use continues to grow. Unprepared is good, though. We get to see some of the processes starting. Yeah, it was actually kind of weird coming in here because I still had Twitch open from the last stream. So I ended up rating myself and hearing my own audio and all of that craziness. Yeah, I typically am a Linux person. I've ran Arch Linux for years. I've done all of them. So some of this little bit of you seeing me with VS Code is I decided, it was probably, I don't know, somewhere between 4 and 6 months ago. I've always been a Linux person. I've had some Macs starting in 2009. I've had some Macs over time to do admin sort of things. That's what my corporate laptop always was. But I primarily had a Linux laptop and a Linux desktop. And being that I work for Microsoft, I've worked there for almost 3 years now. I kind of decided, with WSL and some of these VS Code Remote being able to run VS Code over SSH or into WSL, I've sort of decided like, hey, I should try this thing out. And so I paved everything a few months ago. Prior to that, I had not used Windows since just after Windows XP was released. So if you see me looking at Windows sideways, that's why. I'm mostly a Linux person, and I like to switch things up. It's why I've been doing some Rust stuff. I play with Nim and Pony and Elm and other languages. I really believe in trying new things out, and sometimes it makes you discover new patterns about the technologies and languages you're already using. Sometimes it gives you ideas for features. Sometimes you find things that's how I found Go to begin with. Does Microsoft not use Windows internally? Don't they develop .NET on their own platform? So inside of Microsoft, you will find lots of Windows users. You will find lots of Mac users. They will buy you whatever you want. They don't really have a problem with any of that. Lots of people have Apple devices for their phones and things like that. So they don't really have a problem with that. I joked when I was first hired that they bought me a Mac to work on Linux, and holy crap, this is a new Microsoft. So yeah, I'm not required to work in Windows, but I want to have empathy for Windows users. I want to understand the pains that they go through. And even with WSL, there are things that I don't like about it. And that's also another cool thing about Microsoft. It's okay that I tell you that there's things that I don't like. So WSL is fantastic for about 90% of what I do. There are some interesting things when I'm trying to bind ports on either side. And obviously WSL does not have systemd or anything like that. So in this example, the last call shouldn't be, oh, wait. Yes, you're right. You're right, Lego Tux. This should be wait group wait. Typo. Okay, so I'm gonna work on a bot in Go for Twitch, unless anybody has other questions about Go or things that have been talked about throughout this week on Begin Stream. I am more than happy to keep going through examples and answering any questions or confusing aspects of Go, because this is actually super valuable to me. I started doing Go in 2011. I want to see a project now. Okay, cool. So yeah, I started doing Go in 2011, and that was before the existence of even the Go command. So I don't have the same connection to what people struggle with when they're first getting started. So all of this is really, really helpful. I actually forgot how confusing channels were at first. And in fact, I will tell you this, it's kind of embarrassing. I used channels for everything. I abused the crap out of channels when I first got into Go because I thought that's what they were meant for. And I used them for things that mutexes should be used for. It was ugly, and there is probably still code of mine out there that has that in there, and it disgusts me. So that I suppose that's also before I jump into creating a project. That's another thing to point out. We talked about in here. They are so easy to just throw around, though. It's an easy pattern to fall into. It is. But the thing that I will say is mutexes are also important. And what I find doing is, if I have, say, a struct and I'm trying to prevent multiple things from modifying that struct, I will use a mutex. So the mutex I use to guard state so that more than one thing cannot edit the state at the same time. And channels I use for communicating values across threads. And thank you for everybody who's following. Because this was like so fast, I don't have anything set up right now and running that is telling me who all of you are, but thank you. I can just keep hearing the dinging going off in my head, so in my headphones, so I know that's going on. Okay, so let's start a project. And this will be fun for me too, because the past several months I've actually been doing Rust and infrastructure related stuff surrounding surrounding Kubernetes and Docker. So I have not done a lot of just straight Go programming. So you all get to see what Rusty Go looks like. All right, let's just make a directory for this. We're going to call it Go Twitch. And let's close out of this. Oh man, I was fighting with Kubernetes and Helm today for work. Monka asks, I also want to make sure that, wait, I can't say this. I want to start with Rust, but that's on the back burner while I finish other projects first. So I'm going to link, I'm just going to put his name here, Ryan Levick. He is a coworker of mine that does a ton of Rust. I believe tomorrow morning he has a stream and he does Rust stuff, so he's awesome to watch. I tinker with Rust on some of my streams as well. As far as Kubernetes and containers go, I've been doing that stuff for years. If you are all interested in that type of stuff, whisper me, find me on Twitter, any of that stuff. Tell me what your problems are, the types of things you want to do. I am more than happy to create content with that, all the way down to how does the control plane work? How do I build a custom scheduler? How do I build a custom controller? Network plugins. I've done all of that stuff over the years. So I am more than happy to go as deep as you want to go into container world. We can talk about how they're actually implemented in the operating system. Just hit me up with what your questions are, and I will put together a stream or a series of streams that go over all of that stuff. Are you doing these streams on your days off, or is Microsoft just really flexible with education and instructional opportunities during the workday? So I actually work in the developer relations group inside of Microsoft. So my entire role is primarily open source engineering. So I do a lot of upstream contributions to projects, but also developer relations, where I go speak at conferences and meetups and get to do stuff like this and answer everybody's questions. So this actually is part of my job. I just get to do this if I want to. I kind of balance it because I also like doing hard engineering problems too. So let's create our main.go. Yeah, it is really cool. It is a dream job. I will say that. All right. So actually, I think one thing I may want to do here is I'm thinking about using Cobra. You're not going to use Go modules. So I will use Go modules as we get into stuff. That was actually sort of what I'm heading towards now. I think that I want to use Cobra. If anybody has seen Cobra before. Okay. So Cobra is a library for doing command line applications, and it's written by Steve Francia originally. I don't know whether he still maintains it, but he's the original author of it. And this is really cool for doing commands that may have subcommands and things like that. So here we go, like app server, app fetch, right? So if we think about, if you're familiar with the kube control command, that's all implemented in things like this. So it allows us to have our application itself and then a command, and those commands can define their own individual parameters. And I don't know yet what we're going to do with this bot. So I think this might be important to use now, because maybe I'll run some stuff from the command line on my side. Are you going to do an IRC bot or a full Twitch bot? So people need a library for that. You don't, if you just need, so we're going to go check out Go's documentation. So if you look in the OS package, we have an arg string. So in the main function, we could just look at os.args and be able to look at what arguments we get. Now, if you want to be able to do more advanced things, so Cobra does a lot more than that. So it's got the subcommand thing, which you could implement yourself, but each subcommand can have its own flags. It implements help for you. You just define what the help message is going to be. It allows you to supply these arguments through not just the flags themselves, but environment variables. So there's some extras on top of IRC if you go via Twitch's API. Yeah, so I haven't built anything against the Twitch API. So if you have, you all can help me out, because from what I could see, there are multiple Twitch APIs. And some of these look like it's an interactive WebSocket. And from what I could see, others were webhooks. And that was also confusing to me, because it seemed like you could listen on a WebSocket. If I recall from doing research, I can't even remember when this was, you could wait for subs on a WebSocket, but not follows. Joker Dan, fair, I misunderstood. What was the question? Oh, about Twitch chat being IRC. Gotcha. Okay, so we can pull in Cobra here. Oh yeah, Hugo uses it as well. But all we really need to do is this go get, and then we'll import it. This might be easier too. Let's just use the, no. Where's my terminal? There we go. All right. So we are going to go get this. Close that too. Has anybody here written a Twitch bot? I'm really curious about that because I have a lot of ideas. There's sort of the side that I want to build for taking the commands inside of chat and interacting with chat, but I also would like to build a OBS browser source that is tied into all of it too, so that either the command line connects to an OBS WebSocket and controls OBS, or a browser source, or a combination of the two, because there's going to be some interesting things to solve there too. I wrote a basic chat bot in Node.js and have curled the API, but not altogether, never had the need. Yeah, so I found that most of the people who have written bots are in Node.js, and there's a part of me that's like, I cut my teeth in web development, so I know JavaScript. I'll have to learn a little bit about TypeScript and Node specifically, but I could probably do it. But I kind of want to write it in Go because why not? All right. So let's import. Oops. My keyboard is like slightly shifted to the left, and that is throwing me off this morning. Okay, so yeah, I did a Discord bot in Go, which was nice too. Awesome. Send me a link to the code for that because I actually want to build a Discord bot too. So, well, you're welcome to provide your own organization. Typically, a Cobra-based application will follow the following organizational structures, right? So this tries to separate your main logic from the commands themselves. And you will actually find this is a common pattern in Go in general. So the main function usually does very little. It typically is just used to take the flags and figure out what commands are being run and environment variables and configs and kind of do all of the initialization of things. And everything else will be in their own packages that are obviously they can be part of the same repository and project, but not in package main. And there's a couple of reasons for this, right? The stuff that exists in main is a little harder to test. So it gives you sort of a surface area to mock and things like that. So as an example, if you were doing network connections, you might do a listen and serve inside of main. That's going to give you back a TCP socket. But a TCP socket, Begin was going through the interface descriptions. A TCP socket is also an OS reader and an OS writer, or an IO reader and IO writer OS. Thinking too many things at once. So that means that if our library just took an IO reader or IO writer or an IO reader writer, then we could pass our library anything that matches that interface, which if we look at it is actually very, very simple. Let's look at a reader. Now these are all the type reader. Okay. So this is just an interface. So the type only needs to have a method called read that takes a slice of bytes, and returns a number of bytes read or an error. So if your type has this read method, then it is an IO reader. And so this is actually a really important pattern because if we trim down the requirements of our functions to be the minimal interface needed for that function, right? I don't want to have an interface that has 30 different functions in it that some type needs to implement to call my function. if my function only needs 2 of those methods. So you'll see this pattern inside of Go really regularly where there'll just be these very, very small interfaces. And the reason for that is we get these patterns where a pipe can be an IO reader writer, a file is an IO reader writer, a TCP socket is an IO reader writer. So we can take, we could, I guess there's a bunch of ways to do this. So we could build our own too, right? So we can do write string and things like that. So the reason we do this is if my function is meant to write on a TCP socket and I just make it take an IO writer, then anything that is an IO writer can be used to send data to that function. It doesn't care how the data got there, just that it can call that function. So we're able to kind of mock these things out and test them better. Is everybody tracking with me? Feel free to yell at me in the chat if I'm moving too quickly. So what's the keyboard flex on us? So actually I have 2 of them side by side over here. If anybody was watching my Jetson Nano stream, that's what the other one is for. Let's see. So I have one of the code keyboards. Can you hear the clicking? Is that why you're asking? So I have one of these. And I've had it for a couple of years. I technically have 2. That one I just showed you does not have the numpad. It's an extra one that I had for a second machine because I usually always end up having something running next to me. And then I have the full key version. And I like it a lot. Although I've been seeing everybody with these broken keyboards, and I really want one of those. I want to try it. I've never done it. I feel like I should try it. Okay, so we need to import, command. I haven't used Cobra in a while. Oh, command.execute, right? Oh, that's path to your app command. Gotcha. Okay. What do you think of it? Which one do you prefer? Are you referring to which of the 2 keyboards? The only reason I have the other one is I also do accounting stuff, running businesses and things, and having a numpad is extremely useful when you're like entering things into QuickBooks and stuff like that. So that's why I have that numpad one. But yeah, I have no complaints with this keyboard. I've had it for years. It's withstood the test of time. It's currently plugged in and hard to show you. I don't have any of my extra cameras set up to show you the keyboard. But you can see I've used it so much that the enamel is wearing off of the space bar. Okay, so here's our root command. We're going to put this in app command. And this is going to be root. I'm actually kind of surprised they don't have a generator for this. I'll bet you they do if I looked. Okay, so I do not have enough screen real estate here. Okay, so here we've got a command struct. This is our usage. We're going to call this go Twitch. I don't know. My cool Twitch bot. Oh wow, I can't do a change in her backtick. What craziness is this? All right, fill this out later. Okay, so oh, this is the root command, right? Root command execute. Oh, we don't want this. Oh, wait. So what this is doing is we are going to we need to move all of this. So I don't have any of this stuff in a Go path. So we should really put this in a Go path so that our import statements aren't broken. What we want to do is this main function is going to import our sub package here and use it. We could use relative paths, but you really don't want to do that. I can't think of many instances where that would be appropriate to do. I think I've seen some people do it for unit tests. That would probably be the extent of when I would recommend using relative paths, because you break everything if somebody wants to just import just a portion of your project. I think you could zoom out one and it would be fine if you needed room, but I'm on a larger monitor. Do you prefer doing this versus using Go mod to manage dependencies and such? Probably habit. I could use Go mod as well. And in fact, when we build this thing, right? Let's zoom out a little. Yeah, this is going to yell at me. All right, cannot find package GitHub in any of, oh, SPF. And yeah, I don't even want that because this is, I want my command. Let's fix this and then we'll build it. So let's go source, GitHub, me. I don't have anything by me in there. Mrc. Go Twitch. This is where it'll live. Actually, we don't even need to do that. We're just going to move Go Twitch there. So what we're doing here is we're moving that this directory that I had into my Go path. GitHub, Eric. And that is not what we want. We'll open that anyway. We moved it to the wrong place. New terminal. Oops. All right, so we actually want to, let's just move out. No, we can't. So let's make directory Go Twitch. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing this, you still make dumb mistakes. All right, let's move main.go into there. Oops. We need a cooler name for this project though. Anybody have names in mind? It can't be called Go Twitch. That's just lame. All right, Eric St. Martin, Go Twitch, and command. Okay, so now we are importing our, what are you yelling about? Could not import GitHub, Eric St. Martin, Go Twitch, command, no package for. What are you, oh. Okay. Let's see, botbot.go. Don't know what it's going to do yet. What was the boat thing? Boaty McBoatface? Is it Body McBotface? Okay, so we're importing our own command package now, and then we are calling the execute method that has been exported from that package. Now, if we look at that, this is going to blow up because it is not importing github.com/spf13/cobra/cobra. All right. Precisely, yes, nothing but the utmost creativity when you crowdsource your name. Unless somebody comes up with a better name, I think we're calling it body McBotface. I'm down. Okay, so here's our root command. So let's compile this real quick and see where we're at. Wait. Import GitHub Cobra is a program, not an importable package. Wait, what? Why is it not an importable package? What's exec do? So in our main function, we're importing our own command package, and then we are calling the execute function that has been exported from our package. So this is our function. It's taking this root command that we've defined and calling execute on it. And if there's an error, it's printing the error and exiting the program. So now we just have to figure out why that is yelling at us that it's a program and not an importable package, because that does not sound right. Oh, I went too far. It's not Cobra. All right, new line expecting comma or curly brace. That's on root line 8. Oops, I broke that earlier. All right, command execute evaluated but not used on main line 6. What do you mean you're not used? Let's see. Is that going to make us throw away the return? I mean, here, we'll just do that. So if there. Expected Boolean expression. Oh, oops. If wait, we need, oops. So here it's two parts. So in this if statement, now what are you yelling at? No value used as value compiler. Why did you put a space there? Thank you for the follows. Again, a bunch of people came over as part of a raid. It was decided last second that I'll spin stuff up. So I have none of my stuff going on that tells me who's following and everything, but thank you all so much. Okay, so this is separate. Wait, why are you yelling at me? Command execute used as value. You just yelled at me for not... I'm confused. We're going to go look at the docs here in a second if this does not work. Yeah, because that function definition doesn't say it returns anything. Okay, I have no idea what we did last time. Oh. Did we do something like that? I think that might have been the case. We weren't actually executing it. Okay, so we have this. Now we should have our go Twitch. And we do nothing. So if we do a minus help, now we can see our usage, which flags. We have no flags. All right. So now that's function, right? Yeah, so functions are, we can actually pass around. So we could actually assign command.execute here and then run F, right? Yeah, okay. I think I just typoed something silly. Okay, so I guess the first thing we really need to do is, this is our main function here. I guess we could, I forget what happens if I remove run here. Let's look at the docs too, because the one thing I want to do off the bat is set up subcommands. It's been a while since I've done this. So in here we have our, where are they defining init config? Init config. How long have I been writing Go? So I started writing Go in mid to late 2011 is when I started getting into Go. So I looked at it in 2009. I worked at Disney at the time. I looked at it. I was like, oh, this seems cool, but I didn't really see what the silver bullet of it was. And then I started working for a company that had Brian Kettleson, who co-organizes Go4Con with me and was one of the other co-authors of Go in Action. He was a CIO for a company I started working for. He had thrown together this quick service in Go. It was getting a lot of traffic. I started working for the company and he's like, can you take it over? I said, sure. And I learned Go, and through having to build stuff in Go is when I really started falling in love with it. Okay, let's see. So this is all our flag stuff. Where's init config coming from? And I want subcommands. Create additional commands. That's not what I want. Where are my subcommands? An example below, we have defined 3 commands, 2 are at the top level, and 1 command times is a child of one of the top commands. Yeah, so this is what we want. So that's print. This is echo. This is times, right? And yeah, right. So we add the command to there. So if I recall, I think that if we remove this, that is what we want, because we don't want it to run. I suppose we could make it run help. So the other thing we could do is we want to add another command. We're just going to call it server.go. And we can copy most of this. Okay, so we're going to call this one server.command. We're going to have a lot of stuff to go back and fix, but I kind of want to get to some of the interesting stuff. This is just boilerplate. So I don't need this execute function. In fact, this will conflict because even though these are in the same file, they are in the same package. So that would be redeclaring the same function. We don't need this. We are already exporting the main command out. So what we want is this init function, right? Oh, this is all doing usage stuff. So there's an init function, which I know I saw in here. I was going to just point out. So this is ran as the program is starting up. One difficulty with that, though, is you can't guarantee the order that these things will take place. Yeah. Started last year. Nice. Nice. What are you working on in Go? So we're going to create this init function, and then we're going to root command dot add, and we're going to add our server command. Now, if we go build this, I'm going to keep forgetting that comma, aren't I? root line 17. What did I forget now? And I forgot that comma too. Related to some video streaming business. Awesome. Awesome. What are you doing with video streaming? I did a bunch of video streaming stuff myself. All right, root command, type Cobra command has no field or method add. Wait. Is it add command? Add command. Yes. Add command. Okay, so what we did here is we now nested our server command, which we need a run function. What are you yelling at me for? Let's see. It is called run, isn't it? Yeah, it's called run. What are you yelling at me for? Oh, I'm mixing languages. Why are you yelling at me? It's called run. Cannot use func literal value of type func as func command. Oh, because we don't have the parameters in there. What are they? They are slice of strings of our arguments and the command itself. Gotcha. Wow, it's been a while since I've used Cobra. Okay, there we go. So now to do. This is where our server code will go. I should just be doing this. Go run. Making that good. Okay. So now we can see our available commands are help and server. And it prints that out because we didn't supply it any options. We didn't supply it a subcommand, so it just assumed help. And that happened because in the root command, we removed the run function. So now if we ran server, we would get whatever code we put here. Saving segment file in a short, leave short. So you're doing like HLS and MPEG dash sort of things. You're repackaging for like adaptive bitrate streaming. The thing I'm currently researching and wanting to try and write, the thing I'm researching and wanting to / trying to write in Go is a server for an MMO from the ground up, including implementing reliable UDP. I don't expect it to be the perfect or most optimized thing, but it's something that I want to try. Might take a while. So you're wanting to do UDP things in it, or you're wanting to write your own UDP stack, like your own network stack? But an MMO in Go would be cool. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do it in Go. Let's see. Okay. So I'm periodically checking Slack because I have a coworker who is also a Go person that I think at some point during this stream is just going to join me, and we'll see whether we can collaborate on this. We'll get him in on like a VS Code live share or something. So, all right. Now it is time to talk to Twitch. We might come back to this because we might have some flags and things like that. But for now, we're not really going to do that. But this is a really cool library to use for command stuff. As you can see here, the other thing we can do is we can use Viper if we want to manage configuration. Time to sleep. Is it Sanjay? Thanks for joining. Okay, so let's look at this. So I was trying to do some research on whether or not somebody had written. One thing I did find was the Twitch developer API. Wait, what is all this? All right. Well, I totally just leaked my client ID, so that's fun. I guess I'll be changing that later. So the one thing, I should probably change that now. I don't trust any of you. Twitch. Currently doing all of the hacks. All right. Too late now. I was just gonna leave it, and then I realized that that is like moderator access and all of that crap, so I can't let it wait. Sometimes I've done that with resources that are like running up in Azure, and I'll just leave it because, you know, it's gonna last an hour or something. So, all right, I'm not a robot. Create. My application cannot contain the word Twitch. Nice. All right. What are you talking about? All of us programmers on Twitch would never exploit a leaked secret. So I also like to do information security things and CTFs, and I know that the temptation would be far too much for me. So, all right, let me get my client ID and then close that tab. And now you all can see my screen again. And I'm going to paste it over here. Okay. So anyway, so I had found that there's like several Twitch APIs, which is really crazy and confusing which one you're supposed to use for what. There's new Twitch API and Twitch API version 5. And the question is new Twitch API newer than version 5? Or is version 5 newer than new Twitch API? If anybody knows, I would love to know that. I had to change something a few streams ago because I leaked it. Nice. This is modern day. What do you stream? Control Shift T. What is Control Shift T? And so in addition to the confusion about which Twitch API to use, I went searching to see whether, like, let's not recreate everything. I could build an entire client library to Twitch in Go if I really wanted to, but I'd much rather spend the time on the fun stuff. So I went looking for libraries, and it seems like nobody has touched their libraries in years. So this could be fun. We might have to try out a couple of them to see what we can get working. But we will try and use them. I want to say Helix was one of the ones that looked promising. Jixbot looked like it connects to the IRC server. It's unclear to me at this point whether I can do chat through this API or whether I have to do it through two different things. And then this branch is using the new Helix API, which is under development. So this package looks like it actually already uses Helix. Open the last closed tab showing your key. If I fell for that, you all should just shut me off. So, okay, so Helix is the name of the newest iteration for that. All right. Actually, you know what? Because I'm going to be streaming for a little bit, I'm going to take 2 seconds here and actually set up my open up Twitch to moderator view and all of that good stuff so that I can see who all of you lovely people are who are following me, and thank you personally. Because I keep hearing the noise in my headphones and it's driving me crazy that I... All right. Mod view. Okay. Now I think we're good. Nope, I can hear myself in my headphones. Don't like it. I don't know why moderator. Well, I guess if you're a moderator and you're not the streamer, you might want to hear it. Okay, so Eric.dev, hi, I'm 13 years old and I know metaprogramming, monads, monad transformers, Scala, implicit recursions, concurrency, multi-threaded parallel computing. Anyways, my question is, should I go to high school or is it a waste of time for me? Wow, so you're doing better than I was at 13, 14 with learning programming. I would say finish high school. I dropped out and I do regret that I dropped out. I was fortunate that when I dropped out, the web was pretty new and I had been doing it for a while. There were no boot camps for web development. There were no college courses for web development. So some opportunities were afforded to me because it was like, you know how to build these websites things, you're hired. And then by the time it started mattering, I already had so much experience. But completing high school is like a huge thing. I would definitely complete high school at the very least. Even college, there are some things that you miss out on. I work in a field that is highly academic. So I'm surrounded by people who have graduate degrees and I work with several PhD people. And even outside of the formal education that comes from those things, there's some areas I'm weaker on because I don't have a formal education. In addition to those things, there's conversations about even classic literature, and people will use those things as references. And I have no idea what they're talking about because I didn't go do all of that stuff. So at the very least, finish high school. Joker Dan, I would love to program on stream, but imposter syndrome is real. Even for me, imposter syndrome is real. And in fact, having people know who I am is even more embarrassing when I make mistakes because I feel like I shouldn't. I've been trying to get better about doing stuff like this, not just to break my own imposter syndrome, but also to humanize people, to humanize myself, and for everybody else to realize that no programmer that you see is perfect. They all make the same dumb mistakes, no matter how long they've been doing it. You know, you're watching me make dumb mistakes and having to fix compiler errors, and I wrote a book on this language. We all do it. We all have to Google things. Although I'm glad Begin left because he would be yelling at me for what's he say, drone striking people. So thanks for the follow, Bit and Bang. So yeah, I think you totally should do it. And in fact, it is really cool to have people collaborate with you. So even if you're a beginner, programming on stream is really, really fun because this type of interaction is really awesome. Programming is a lonely sport. You sit around by yourself coding. So having sort of this social interaction with people and having people contribute their own ideas, you can learn a lot from that too. So I've been trying to approach things like that. I've been really helpful in breaking it out, thinking everything I ship needs to be perfect. Yeah, it's never going to be perfect. You're going to be forced to meet deadlines that you can't meet and ship code that you are not proud of. You're going to have hobby projects you don't have time to work on, so you just throw them together, no unit tests, really ugly code, and that's why you can't just trust everything that's on GitHub. Let's see. How do you pronounce your name? ADRN? Learning the programming seems easy for you. Plan a 7, but I bet learning history and literature is hard. This is where school helps, learning all the other stuff like that, like Eric was saying about rounding out. Oh, yeah, definitely with the rounded out education. There are some regrets. In fact, I still consider going back to school and getting a formal education just because of some of those things. Yeah, what Joker said too. Right, yeah. Okay, so let's see, which one of these do we want to use? Okay, so Go Twitch, from what I'm reading here, sounds like it's using the Helix API. So that is the new API. And I see some code in here for webhooks, which I know we need to do for follows. And I see some stuff in here surrounding chat. So those are both of the things I want. Master isn't passing though. Plan of 7, the social skills are important too. You'll learn how to deal with people that you like, and even more importantly, people that you don't like. Everybody's got to do it. Yeah, I would also say the learning to collaborate is probably a big thing also about getting a formal education. When you are at home programming all of the things, you kind of develop an ego about knowing how to do things and wanting to do them your way. Being part of teams or cohorts where you need to collaborate and build stuff together and bounce ideas back and forth without taking things personally when people disagree with your viewpoint or think that another approach would be better. Super important. All right, plan of 7. All right, thanks guys. I guess I'm not getting disowned by my family. I'm going to high school. Cheers. So happy we could keep the family together. Okay, so we need to do, let's go get Go Twitch. We're going to start with this. If it doesn't work, we'll use something else. Let's go get that. Oh, I need to fix my PS1 too, just because that is so huge for the size of this. So let's go get that. I like it because it also says got which. All right. Okay, so let's actually, we're going to comment this out for now. We've got our Cobra stuff there. We'll come back to it. We're just going to do some rough stuff in main, and then we will organize it later. And this is also a really fun thing about watching people you know in the programming world, is you always see the end result after they've refined it. You never really get to see what the process looks like while they build it. I write crappy code, really crappy code at first to understand. We call it spiking. I'll often spend 10 to 30 minutes just spiking out code to just barely work against something, and then I understand the problem better. I understand the library a little better, and then I'll take those learnings and then write something else that is much cleaner. So that is what you're going to watch right now, is me just trying to get this library working. We're going to play with some of the functions that are available to us, and then we're going to organize it. And keep the questions coming. If there's questions about Go, I'm happy to answer those along the way. Also touching back on leaking secrets, I think the main reason I've had issues a few times with secret leaks is because I'm so used to using Cloak in VS Code for my M files that I forget it doesn't work everywhere. Yeah, not leaking secrets is hard, especially when you're live streaming like this. You commonly will do things like forget to close your team chat or email or things like that. I'm often worried. One of the things that actually worries me the most is because I work for Microsoft, I can spin up things on Azure. So when we go to deploy this thing, you'll watch me deploy it in Azure, and I'll open up the portal, and sometimes I will have my work subscriptions on there, and I'm always afraid that some resource group that somebody created is going to leak some information about something. That's like one of my greatest fears. Okay, so one thing we need to do now is we need this here so that we can have our Twitch API. And now the problem is we need a client ID. And I am not going to leak that to all of you. So here's what we're going to do. I think that I have direnv on here. If you do not use direnv, you should really use this. So direnv, there's Aaron right there. So AR/Schles here is Aaron. He is who promised me later he would join me for this. So we can nag him later and get him on. So yeah, so direnv, we'll just go to here, direnv.net, is a really cool program that once you install it and you put it in your bash profile, what it allows you to do, we're going to play with this and I'll show you, is we can create an Mvrc file inside of our directory. And I can say something like export, I don't know, go path. Let's find one that exists really quick. Do I have something in go path? And let's use bin. Or just path. We'll just use our path directory. All right, we've got craziness in there. So let's look at Mvrc. And now if I overwrite this, and we're just going to say we only want user local bin. Okay. And now we can do a direnv allow. Now that's approved. Command not found. What you talking about? All right. Now what happens is when we cd into, let's just echo this real quick, echo path. Whoa. Command not found direnv. Oh. Okay. Okay. So what I did here was, wait. Yeah, it's because the path got changed. Apparently path was not the one that we should have tested this on. So let's try this again. cd go source GitHub Eric St. Martin. Is my path still broken? Oh, we didn't need to do that. I think I put it in the, I think my path should be still here, right? Okay, yeah, fixed. All right, so we need to just go. Actually, let's just, we're gonna empty that file. It should be in here, yeah. All right, now we're gonna cd into that. So what was a small demonstration of a really cool tool showed you how I mess up my own environment. Okay, so we want to move that .mvrc into go Twitch because that's really where we want it to start. Now we're going to go into that directory. We're going to edit it first. Every time you edit it, it's going to make you allow it so that it can't be changed and then execute stuff in your environment. So we're going to update this. And let's just say, there we go. We'll do this. Export client Twitch, because that's what we're going to use it for. Client ID. All right. Now, if we direnv allow it, what we can do is come out here. If I exported a Twitch client ID here, right? Now if we echo it here, we get foo. If we cd into our go Twitch directory, it loads the one that's in the mvrc for us. And any bash commands work. I should clarify, .mvrc is a bash script. So you could run commands when you enter the directory too. That's totally fine. But one of the things I love it for is the management of environment variables. Because now if we echo out Twitch client ID, we get this, but it gets cooler. What happens if we cd out of that directory? It puts all of it back. So it manages this stack of environment variables for us. So I love doing stuff like this because maybe one project is using a different version of a compiler or doing dev and prod things. Super cool. If you're not using direnv, you should. And now I get to use direnv so that we can manage an environment variable. But I guess here, we'll do this first. So we need to go into package OS. And we have a function called environ, and this will give us a slice of all environment variables, or we can call getenv to get a specific environment variable. This is really cool. I just used the Go package go.m to read m files, but as you can change more than just mvars with this, I can see it being handy. Yeah, so there's a lot of packages and programming languages that do env type management things. Many of them are used so that your program itself will load that file and do things. I use this because I like it that as soon as I cd into that directory. So let's use kube control for an example. I can manage multiple contexts, and I may have multiple Kubernetes clusters, one per project. Well, I can manage the contexts and things like that, but sometimes I freaking forget to change the context, right? And then I deploy something to the wrong cluster, and I don't like doing stuff like that. So what I will typically do is have different kube configs that I can authenticate with the different clusters, and then inside my Mvrc, I will change the kube config environment variable so that when I run kube control inside this directory, I'm always talking to the right cluster. Okay, so here's what we want. We want to use os.getEnv and tell it that we want the Twitch client ID. So os.getEnv, and we want Twitch client ID. Okay, so this should work. Now I need to modify the Mrc file. So you all get secrets. Can't have them, they're mine. I need a cooler animation or something for that. Entertainment. Okay, so what was I doing? Oh yes, secrets. Client ID. And we are going to Mrc. Paste that in there. And you're back. We need dir-env allow it. Okay, so now this should be my client ID, and hopefully I don't do anything dumb and leak the secrets to you and have to change it again. All right, what's next? Question for the audience. What feature should we implement first? What do we want our bot to do? I know we need to have some commands that we can run, some basic things where it responds with what project I'm working on and things like that. But what else do we need it to do? Suppose we could have it manage a currency system, things like that. One really fun thing I want to do, which we won't be able to get to on this stream because I don't have the plugin installed in OBS. So I'd have to shut down the stream in order to put the plugin so that we could do this. But I can do in a follow-up stream is there is a WebSocket plugin for OBS that allows us to control OBS over a WebSocket. And I am really interested in that because I think it would be ridiculously fun to have a bot in the channel that you could send commands and make it, switch scenes on me or add effects to my camera or add effects to my voice or just other crazy stuff. We'll think of stuff, but yeah, that's where we're going with it. You use OBS WebSockets? I actually use dir-env to run git diff when I change into a git directory to remind me what I was doing. That's actually a really cool idea. I like that because it is actually really common for me to run a git status or something like that when I cd into a project that I'm working on. So, okay, where were we? I've seen people doing things like that. Interesting. Someone has commands to like double click their mouse, toggle caps locks and such as well. Left my mouse off. Your sound effects are going to be abused if you're offering to modify your voice or background. Oh yeah, we're going there. We're going there. I am happy to, we can get like a super deep, thing going on. I'm happy to be chipmunked. We'll figure it out. It's going to be really funny. Especially if I can download some, what's the format? Starts with a V. that everybody uses for plugins for like Fruity Loops and all of those things. I think OBS takes those, and we're going to find some, and we're going to install it, and we're going to have a blast. Command to turn off your secrets window. That would be like, I don't know, 1 million points or something crazy. And then I'll let you do it. I'll let you do it. Y'all with the stealing secrets. VSTs, yes, that's what I'm talking about. And it sounds like OBS does take it. So we can find some. I'll pay for them because it's going to be hilarious. Okay. Where were we? And Aaron Schlesinger says in 20 minutes he will join me and we will build this thing together. Perfect. Okay. So we've got our environment variable. Where's our go Twitch? Okay, so we have our API get stream. Let's just copy this. We'll use this as a starting point, and then we'll go from there. It is not a very well documented API, so I get the feeling that we're going to have to go spelunking through the source code to figure out what's going on. All right, so eric.dev. This can probably be our first flag to tell it what stream. And let's see, on success. Oh, we need to move this out because I copied all of that. Okay, so we have some functions that are going to be ran once we connect. If we get an HTTP error and on internal error. So now the question is, this is just one time, or are these callbacks that are going to be? Yeah, so this is interesting. I don't know whether I would organize the code this way, just because these functions existing here sort of tell me that I'm going to reuse them. But really, they're just callbacks in the event of something happening here. So we're going to leave them here for now because I want to get to some interesting things. But I would probably define these in line. And that's just a personal preference. Other people in the Go community might disagree with me. But I would probably put them in line because if I saw these here, I would think they're reused. If I deleted this line of code for some reason, these would probably end up getting left there. You know, unless I guess I removed Go Twitch completely as a dependency. So yeah, I would probably inline these, just personal preference. Okay. There for a while, I had a command that had 20-minute cooldown that people could change the layout of my keyboard from standard. Oh, that would kill me. I've never done Dvorak, never. Yeah. I mean, I can make it turn off Vim bindings. That would probably throw me off. Switch mouse buttons or something. That one might not throw me off as much. I don't use the mouse a lot. All right, so we have our API. Now what? I love that this is like example for getting a stream object. And it tells us how to get the stream object, and then it's like, you're on your own. It's all you. So let's see if we can. We're going to go .org this because I want to see what this looks like. If you don't use godoc.org, this is extremely useful. There's a local command you can do this, but godoc.org, if you pass it the public repo here, it will generate all the Go documentation for you. It's an easy way to kind of look at what all the types and methods and things like that are. So this hands us back a new. So here's V5 again. There's always reference to this. What is the difference between Twitch API, I'm guessing this is Helix, and V5? I don't know. Okay, so this is a new one. It has our credentials in there. I'm guessing authenticated delete is to unauthenticate ourselves. Dvorak, what kind of masochist? All right, so there's a new one. Oh, package.go.dev. This shows you the different versions of the package too. Yes, this is true. I completely forgot about that. It's been a while since I've written a lot of Go. Oh yeah, this is way better. All right, godoc.org, no more. Okay, so TMI returns the TMI API object. I think that's what we're... Oh no, so we have a new Twitch API Helix too. So we have... What is all of this? This is crazy. Okay, so we have... Where's new? No. Was it create? What was the name of the method we were calling? New. So we have new, which gets us a Twitch API. New Twitch API Helix, which gets us a Helix API. And then I guess that's an API ID. And then an API v5. And then an API TMI. So which of these things do we actually want? Interesting. So let's just go with theirs as an example, and then we'll explore others. So we've got the Twitch API. Returns a Twitch API. What's in this? So that's our fields, but what functions? So, okay, so on this we can get Helix. We can get our ID. We can set that. So, okay, so this is just like a basic API object. From there, we're going to request a Helix, a v5, or a TMI interface. Which of these do we actually say? Yeah, right? Exactly. Okay, so let's just go through them in order. What is in TMI? Yep, that's the code. That's not what we wanted. So in TMI, it looks like we just get chatters. Okay. So v5 looked like it had some more promising things. So that we can start a commercial. We can update channel stuff. Okay. We could start there. We could try to set the title and some things like that. Oh, and TMI is the chat. Let's check. Oh, wait, no, because you said it was only get chatters. So let's look in here. Where is the TMI? Chatbots and IRC? I see a required TMI.js. Okay, so that would make sense. So now the question is, that TMI interface, or type rather, does not have any other functions aside from get chatters. So it looks like we'd have to implement that, which we can do. So that TMI is the chat Twitch messaging interface. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So being that we can't really do anything with that other than get chatters, that's not helpful. We want to know what the chatters are saying. We want the chatters to tell us stuff. So, all right, I guess while we're in here, let's check out these other libraries first. No, we can't, right? Because Helix is only for this Helix API, which let's look at that. That's the Twitch API. Twitch API Helix. We can get the streams, we can get the users. What's the difference between the users and the chatters? Are users followers? Get webhook subscriptions, webhook subscribe. Okay, I want this. So it is based on IRC from my understanding with some additions. That is my understanding of the Twitch API. So there is this Jigspot one that I found that does look like it is for chat. So let's open up. Let's just package.go.dev. Wait. package.go.dev yu no work. Package.go.dev. Is it not there? All right, let's go doc.org it then. Okay, so here, channel. So new channel, get lines, get money, get time spent. Oh, so this looks like we can get a lot more information. We can add moderators. So we might need this for the chat. Can we use this current library for everything else? You might want to look at Go Twitch IRC as well. Okay, let's look at that. 4 months ago, I like this. When was Jixbot last updated? It's gonna be one of those disappointing ones. Yeah, 3 years ago. Okay, go away. Okay, so Go Twitch IRC 4 months ago. Okay. Wait a second. This is modern day, or yeah, this modern day. Did you send me this because you've got malware in here? Are you trying to get me to install it? Is that the scheme? All right. So, okay. So we need an Oauth token for this one, which I've already generated. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So I like this. So we're gonna use this as our starting point, at least until I don't like it and decide to write my own and compete with all of the other people who have not updated their project in 2 years. So we can create an anonymous user, but we've got things like callbacks on private messages. We can see badges. We can whisper people. Let's see. Global state notices, user joins, user parts. Okay. So I think that's the way to go. I think I'm going to just put this in a comment inside our source code. We're going to use this for our chat. Let's add a to-do there too. Okay. So we're going to use that for chat. Now the question is, can we still keep using Go Twitch for this? Fun fact, Twitch's anonymous user is still named Justin after Justin TV. Nice. Does anybody remember it when it was Justin TV? Okay, so this is always kind of fun with new projects too. Like it can take a while to just get set up. All right, so let's look. We're going to use that for chat. And should we still use this for our other stuff? It does look like we can deal with webhook subscriptions and things like that. Where's the Helix? Can we do that with all of this? Get users, new client. Let's package.go.dev this too and see. Oh. Okay. I don't think we have any of that in the Go Twitch thing. Yeah. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Go Twitch is going away. We're setting it on fire. And we are going to use Helix, even though I think that that's out of date. When was the last time? I had a commit 2 months ago. So we're going to use Helix for everything that is not chat. Because this looks like we have, we can get our leaderboards, we can get banned users, all of that stuff. Okay. Yeah, so the one, Gemper, oh yeah, so that one looks like it is only for chat. So it looks like we're gonna have to use 2 separate things. So let's do a quick vote, show of hands. Who wants to work on the IRC side first? Who wants to work on doing some webhooks for followers. I think if we do the IRC side first, we have the hope of everybody being able to play with something where you can send it a command. IRC +1 from Aaron. IRC +1 from Cassius King. You came over, Cassius. I love it. Okay, so IRC it is. And let me put that Helix one in here too, just so I have it when we get to it. And when we get this a little further, I'll open source all of this for everybody too, so that everybody can contribute to it as well. No malware though, no malware. Oops. What are you doing? I even have to use two separate things with my bot as well. I use TMI.js and Helix, but I use Helix to pull avatar info, etc. for drop games. Yeah, it is kind of weird that it's not all like one central API, but I mean, I get it, right? Part of it is all an API server and part of it is all based on IRC. So they're really kind of separate connectivity types. It's not like you're communicating with the same API. Okay, so now, where was our example here? Yeah, we're not going to use that either. Well, no, because it's all new information. Let's do that. Get rid of all of that. Get rid of this. And we need this again, because we're going to use that to store our Oauth token. And you can go away now. Where are we breaking? Oh, because it's not importing this. Import. Okay, so we need Twitch Oauth token here. You won't be using Oauth token for this, I don't think, by the way. The example has us using an Oauth token. I don't think we need to. Well, you will, but not the client ID devapp1. Right, when we hit the Helix API, it doesn't look like we need an Oauth token for that. Token needs Oauth prepended, I think. Okay, so let's try this really quick. I've got... All right. Does everybody want to get Aaron on? Let's see if we can get Aaron on. He's ready. So this is actually a really cool thing if nobody's ever seen this before. obs.ninja, super cool. We can add a camera to OBS. Oh, that's not what I want. We want to... That's not what I want either. Oh yeah, we need Aaron to go here and send me the URL. And then we will get you on. Okay, what was I doing? Oh, right, secrets, hiding them all from you. All right, so I need to take my Oauth token. Secrets. Wow, my secrets thing is down low. I guess I jacked up OBS somewhere. I need to fix that. Okay, so let's grab our Oauth token. and it looks like it still has the word OAuth in it. Go Twitch and export Twitch OAuth token equals A9. Kidding. Okay, let's see. Thanks for the follow, Ken Eric. Wait a second. Is that like a bot or something? I just noticed. Is it a coincidence also Eric with a K? All right, so let's get Aaron on. Just give me 2 seconds, and I'm gonna go over here to OBS, and I'm in the wrong thing. You are going to be my embedded device. Wait. There we go. Oh wait, I need to get you in a room, Aaron, so that I can hear you. Never mind. Let me do this really quick. I need a different URL from you. Otherwise, we will be like listening to each other over chat. So, okay. Bear with me 2 seconds, everybody. We are going to get Aaron on so we can have 2 lovely gophers working on this. Enter Control Center. Normally, I do all of this before the show, but being we decided to kind of do this after. Now, okay. Now, just waiting for Aaron to join the room. And we're going to get him in. All right, I hear you, Aaron. I just need to get you on stream. All right. There's Aaron. Okay. And I think I'm sharing my screen with you too, Aaron. So you should be able to see my screen with no latency. So you shouldn't have to watch me through Twitch. Okay. So where were we? Oh, okay. I need to, we need to do secrets, right? Let me switch this really quick because I can't, apparently my secrets thing is broken on my Stream Deck for that screen. I just need to get this Oauth token in. Oh, I already did. And say Aaron can see my secrets. Should we hear him yet? You don't hear Aaron? Oh, okay. Here we go, folks. Let me route my desktop audio out. All right, speak. All right, say something, Aaron.
Hey,
keep talking.
Am I on?
Yep, keep talking.
Oh, all right.
I'm trying to get your levels right.
Cool.
All right.
Hey, everybody, go Rules.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
So this is Aaron Schlesinger, who works with me at Microsoft, and we do Go and cloud native things together. And we've been trying to collaborate a little bit more across streams. So
yeah.
Is there auto-tune on his voice? No, there's not auto-tune on his voice.
Collaboration.
It does sound kind of echoey. Do you have multiple mics You may not be coming through your one mic. It may have picked a different one, but you're good.
I only have one mic.
Weird. You sound really
All right,
kind of like
let me-
metallic and and allow. Okay, so now we have
I'll
our
double check.
okay. Or a very slight delay. No, I can kind of hear like an echoey kind of metallic sound from it too. So I think that's what everybody might be hearing. And it might be some reverb off the walls, but okay, well, you're poking into that. We're going to try and set this up. So what is this doing? So we're connecting as me with my Oauth token, and we're creating an anonymous function when we are private messaged, and we're going to print it to the screen. Client join. What's this GIMP here for? On private message join. All right, let's look up the docs for this because... Oh, did we close the docs for this? Okay, so package.go.dev, and what is this join? Okay, that's asking us what channel we want to join. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, and here's Joker Dan over here telling me exactly what I need to do.
Be Eric.dev?
Yeah, you're really echoey. Or
Oh boy.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Oh,
I turned off.
I know what my issue is.
I turned off everything else.
My issue for the echo is I actually
It did get worse. Cash is king.
I actually have you playing in multiple spots. Let me mute. Wait. That's me. So I have you playing in multiple places. Wait, where's mute?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I have you in like a tab. Why? Where we can hear each other with no latency. But I'm going to reload this real quick.
Joker Dan says it's okay now.
Yeah, so your audio's okay. Give me 2 seconds because I need to join the room. Screen share. I need to not send... Wait. No, I need to send audio to you. Send audio to you. Wait. Who's that? Share the right screen with you. And now I need to find your sound in here. Why can't I mute you? Can't mute you. There's usually a button on here where I can mute you. That disables the camera. All right, I'm just gonna have to deal with you being a little echoey. That's okay. But there's usually yeah. I have all this stuff muted. So yeah, because I have you coming through that to me, plus in OBS as the feed, so I kind of hear you twice. So it's okay.
Okay.
We're good.
You're coming through OBS Ninja now, where before you weren't. So that's better. Better for me, at least.
Oh, I wasn't coming through OBS Ninja for you?
No, not before.
Okay. So yeah, I'll deal with you being echoey as long as it's not a problem for everybody else. We're good. So, okay, back to what we were doing. So we need to I need to join my own channel. And it is like slightly on the warm side in here. Okay, so join my own channel. Then on direct message, we should print it out to the screen. Makes him sound like a robot. I dig it. He could mute his mic on that side. I don't think it works that way.
Yeah, I'll start moving my mouth.
Slight echo, literally unwatchable. Do you still hear an echo?
How
Okay.
about anyone? On my side, it's okay through OBS Ninja.
Okay. No, if there's no echo, we're good. It may just be in my own ears. Because it shouldn't play OBS's stuff through there. Yeah, because I don't hear anything. Perfect. Okay, so GoBot. Somebody said GoBot earlier, and now GoBot's on my brain. Okay, so we can't use that name. It's already taken, unfortunately. So now we should be able to go run this, and it should connect.
Oh, Oauth is saying they can't see you. I
Can't,
mean me.
can't
not
see
you.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, I just have the wrong scene selected. So there we go. There's Aaron. And there's Aaron really big.
What's up, all?
Okay,
Whoa.
so
Oh, that's ugly.
who wants to test this? Does somebody want to send a whisper? Now, remember, it's going to be public forever, right? Because this is archived on both Twitch as well as on... Why are you... So this is going to be archived forever on the internet. So just keep that in mind. Did it not get the whisper? It did not get the whisper, and I'm glad that it did not, Isaiah.
Uh-oh.
Let's
What'd you do?
let's keep this PG rated, folks. All messages are private messages, though. I don't know, because do we not have permission for the private message?
Is there another like on public so you can see if the public chats are coming through at all?
Let's see. So we've got on new message. So that looks like...
Oh, Cassius King, you can handle whispers, but you can't send them from Gempier.
So this isn't a send, though. This is a receive. So in theory, this should have connected and seen the whisper that I got. Oh, wait a second. Is a direct message when I am notified? Because we call direct messages whispers, right? Is there a difference? Is there a difference? Nope, that didn't work either. Okay, so my theory on this is that we're not even connecting. So let's look at that. There appears to be an onConnect callback that we can use. And when does the connect take place? Oh, it's here. So yeah, let's define that. I'll say onConnect.
Just like log it out.
Yeah. Print debugging.
Yeah.
All right.
It's the go away.
So connected. Try and make the bot send a single chat on bot run instead, not in the channel before connecting. Right. Okay. So.
Oh,
because this
is client.go where we connect, or is it like somewhere else, like new client or something?
Right. No, there is a client.connect right here. So, okay. Yeah. Who was that? Who?
Oh, connect.
Rocker Boo, I think, may have caught our issue. We tried to join the channel before we connected.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm surprised. Does client.join like return an error that we should check or something?
Okay, so now we are connected. And I should have written something to check if the person who private messaged was Isaiah, because I think we should have ignored that. Who wants to send a new whisper? Did we get it? No. I see new whispers coming in. Nothing. All right. More debugging. So we are connected because this happens. So that tells me that we're not getting like an OAuth issue or something like that. Let's do a couple things. Let's add some more. Let's on new message, let's output that. And then let's also try to send our own message and see if that works. Did you try the mention? Yep, mention's not either. Okay, so we're gonna do on new message.
Oh, Det Leon says when you connect to Twitch's IRC, you get about 5 lines of incoming data with messages, even before you connect. And then Rocker Blue says on new whisper.
Oh, so there's an on new whisper. So what is the difference between a private message and a whisper?
Good question.
Is a private message like a sub-only chat? Is that what private is? So there is an on new whisper. And let's also go ahead and print this out. You know what? This is how we're going to do things. So, whatever you send, you're getting outed. You're outing yourself. We are going to put who the user is. Okay, so and I guess let's do the same thing here. It's the same thing, so we'll just copy that down here. And let's differentiate between them. Message.
So there's a priv message and a whisper. So interesting.
This is a private message with our .dev. This is a whisper. Yeah, priv message is the chat. Private is confusing. Yeah. Wait, what was I doing? Oh, whisper. Okay. Now, in theory, we should get everything. Wait, if we didn't break the code. Line 23. What did we break? Unexpected.
Oh, you have an extra closing paren.
Yeah. That's the thing with some of these auto closing things. They're useful until they're not. Oh, and we need to close out that function. All right.
I always get used to like just deleting closing paren no matter what, because VS Code always does this.
Wait, so no on new whisper. Wait a second. On new whisper. I swear that was on there. Client on new whisper. Undefined. Has no field or method on new whisper. And no on new message.
Could it be a version problem?
Maybe. These threats only work if you have any shame to begin with. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So, what version is this using? Published March version 1.1.0, the latest. Okay.
Oh, this is using the latest Mvrc. And are you just using like the tip of the main branch?
I'm using V2. I think I might be importing V2. I think this might be our issue. Yes. Okay, so we've got on connect. Wait. On whisper message. And on private message. They renamed some stuff. So what's our room message? Is it just on message? On names message?
Names. Maybe that's names message might be when they when someone ats you on the channel.
Private on unset on user join. Right, but where's our normal message?
Good question.
On private are messages to here. But didn't we try that already and it wasn't working? All right, let's try that. On private. On private message. On private message. Okay. On private message. And then we want on whisper message. And then this breaks because the API is different. So what do we got? On whisper message. It has its own type. Message, whisper message. Okay. So this is on a whisper message. Okay. And then this one is on a Twitch dot private message, I'm guessing, and a Twitch dot user. Func.
Something's up with that func, the callback on private message.
You know what? Let's just copy it from here. What was that? On private message. We're just going to copy the... Oh, okay. So it's probably just bundling all of this up. Private messages, yeah, private message is just a struct that contains all of the things in it. Okay. So they just switched the API up quite a bit. So rather than individual parameters, we now have an individual message that represents that. Now message.user.display name, and then same thing. Thanks so much for the follow, Tritus. All right. Wait. User.display name. Display name. We could probably do a VS Code live share too if you were wanting to track what I'm doing too, if watching the screen. All right. Is it going to work? We're connected. All right. Somebody send some messages.
Oh, yeah.
All right. What is... Oh, that's who it is. Rude thing and whisper. Nice. Okay, so whispers are working. Apparently, private message is not the chat. So now we need to figure out what is the chat. Yeah, this private message thing is weird. Like, what is a private message? Because it's not a whisper and it's not it's not a mention. So, hey Eric, do you know if there's some live editing collaborating software out there like Google Docs but for programming? So actually, this is a really cool feature. So in VS Code here, down here we have live share, and I think this will allow me to just sign in using my Microsoft account. Yes, I am trying to sign in with it. You can use GitHub or whatever you want to. Open. Okay, so now this is going to print message. This is a sample message. I don't think the user has its display name for private message type. That's how it looks for each message. That's why we call it private message. They might name it differently. All right, why are you not signing in? Okay, so we've got whispers working. We just have to figure out. I remember the early days of live share a few years ago was a bit janky, bit cool concept, and has been improved so much. Yeah, it's gotten a lot better. No, I don't want to start a call. We already have audio. So
that's super cool though.
Yeah.
You can call, you can like share forward ports now.
All right. I'm going to copy this link over and drop it in Slack, I mean Teams, to Aaron. I love that we get to use whatever we want. And then you should be able to see him join. Okay.
That's weird. There we go. I
Are
have to
you?
open it in Visual Studio. It wants to open me in Visual Studio.
Weird.
Oh, okay. Now am I in? Enter the URL of the collaboration session to join. Okay.
All right, let's see. All right, random complaint. VS Code on Google pulls up Victoria's Secret as the first. Really? VS Code pull. I don't believe you. VS Code. Are you trolling me?
Joker Dan says that's just your search history.
Right?
That's funny.
Oh, okay. Try it. Google knows you too well. This is what Begin's been telling everybody, right? Google means spying on you. Or maybe he's been right the whole time. Yeah, that is weird. It could be a country thing too. I don't know. Where are you located, Isaiah? All right, so let's figure out which of these represents a message in the room. So on clear message, on connect, on names message, on notice message. I think that we should make it a point when we get a little further on this to contribute back to this project and add some documentation so that we know which one of these are. So one thing I do want to do is I want to get the user list, and I do want to talk in the channel. So let's do that. Thanks for the follow, Zoller. All right. So what was say? Say is just channel and a string. Okay, I like it. Now we've got a lot of hard-coded eric.devs in here, though, so we should, let's just var Twitch user, and then we're going to change these out really quick because this is going to get messy really quick, I think. Twitch user, where was our other one? On join, Twitch user. Okay, and then what do we want to say? Hello world. What's the hello world in Twitch bot development? Since you're using a library, seeing what a raw chat message looks like probably isn't useful, is it? Yeah, I mean, if we were writing our own kind of protocol handling, sure, knowing what the actual format of the message looks like would be helpful. In our particular case, we're not. We're going to use this library for now until it fails us, and then Aaron and I will be forced to write our own, but for now we're going to use this. Bing, Microsoft's own product, doesn't return Visual Studio as its first result. Nice. Yeah, sadly I wouldn't know. I still use Google for Googling things.
Same.
Even
DuckDuckGo forever.
Yeah, I need to do more DuckDuckGo. Okay, so
I think DuckDuckGo uses Bing behind the curtains as well. It's kind of funny.
So we just tried to say something to the channel, and I don't see us saying anything to the channel either. So what the problem is? IRC protocol is a priv message. Oh, so caches, does that mean that the difference is whether or not somebody in the Twitch app or Twitch website whispers me versus somebody priv messaging me through an actual IRC connection. Is that what that means? Because that would make sense to me why the two are separate. It's just not very well documented. So we've got two problems here. One is we need to figure out how to see all of the messages in the channel, because that's going to be really important. The other thing, I mean, user joins, those would be nice. User parts, those would be nice. So user list would be useful. So what is our normal chat message? It's got to be on a name. It's got to be names. I don't know.
Oh, Detleon says if you connect without joining a channel, you can still get whispers, but you won't get priv messages until you join the channel. But I thought you did join the channel.
Yeah, I did join the channel. So this is just setting a callback, so it shouldn't matter about the order of it. And we did join the channel.
Maybe do hash Eric.dev. Detleon suggested that.
Oh, is that? Okay, let's try this out. Let's now I'm forgetting the syntax for doing this. I can plus it, right?
Yeah.
I'm always like, no.
To...
I'm like, that's a JavaScript thing, and then I forget. No, it's
I
also a good thing, because most of what we do, we actually end up using the format package to do that. All right, now let's see. That's not saved. There we go. How about now? We're connected. Does somebody want a priv message? Oh no, it should have. Wait. We didn't say anything in the chat, did we? You can't plus in most languages, actually, surprisingly. There are some that you can't do that. Okay, so we still did not say anything in the channel. And I have a proper Oauth token because we did get whispers coming through. So we know we are authenticated there. And I would assume that if this can read my whispers, it should be able to join a chat room. So what is the problem? Right, Rocker Boo. I think that is our issue, that we're not in the channel, but we are doing this client.join.
Does that return an error you can check?
It does not.
Oh, bummer.
So join enters a Twitch channel to read more messages.
To read more. And you're registering all the callbacks before that, right?
Try join before connect. I mean, maybe. Let's try that. We will put this before here and see whether that happens.
It's all async messages. Oh, there's an on. Rockerboo says there's an on join callback.
Oh, there's an on join callback? Good call. Yeah. Let's pull that up and see whether we are joining. Wait, I don't see it. I don't see an on join callback. Oh, there may be one as part of the API and just not as part of this library.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Time to write our own.
Now let's see if we didn't need the hash. And nothing. All right, let's go to the GitHub repo. Let's just see whether they have an example in here. Here's a client test.
On user join message.
Right, but I don't think that would pick up our own user joining.
Yeah, probably not. Oh, that's a message anyway.
So let's see. This handles our test connection. Okay, so this is just creating a mock server. So this is connecting to IRC.
Oh, client, then it connects.
Let's see. Join. So this is okay. So there is the hash. Oh look, there is an. Oh, that's when somebody does join. So no, so this does not put the hash there. So we don't need that. So and this creates the client first, and it does do join before it does the connect. So this could be a config.
Mm-hmm.
But we now have that up there. Did I type eric.dev? Yeah. That is correct. Are you using the Twitch dev site details you generated earlier or using Oauth Token? There is a difference. I'm using the Oauth Token. So let's look at that and see whether... in their example, I thought that they did an Oauth Token though.
Oh, wait. Go back to the console.
One from Twitch. So I have one of those as well. Go back to the console. Oh, wait. What is this?
Yeah. Now is this printing out? I think this is printing out everything.
Yeah. So what did not happen though was it didn't message the channel though, right?
I don't see it.
Did anybody see the bot message the channel?
Cassius King says you have to do client.say.
Yeah, we have.
Oh yeah. Do you have to do that before connecting?
So wait, no, because it stays running.
Oh wait, what about inside of the on connect? You probably have to do it there.
On connect. Wait a second. I might have this figured out. I am willing to bet that this line of code never executes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that client.connect probably blocks, right? Because otherwise, this would say its message and it would return. So we need on connect is when we want to do our logic. This is where our bot logic would begin.
But would you have to...
And there we are. So all of these calls here are non-blocking. So so here I'll explain all of this. So all of these here, we create a client, which is just a type. And then all of these on Whisper messages, we are passing anonymous functions to be used as callbacks. They will be executed by the client library when these types of messages are discovered. That's all these are now. On connect, on private message, join. All of these are basically just configuring the client. Client.connect. This is a blocking operation. This is just hanging there waiting for messages. The only way it returns is if it fails and we get this error and we panic. So what was happening was nothing down here was executing. Executing with an N. Yeah, it is really weird, right? Like that should be like a listen or a listen and serve or something. I agree. Connect, that is a weird thing to be blocking. And so yeah, but now we moved on connect. This is a point where we've configured, it's connected. Here's how we're going to decide what we want to do. This is the point at which we'll trigger off any go routines and start doing our actual logic. So I can go for a little bit longer today, but maybe tomorrow afternoon, now that we're connected and doing stuff, we'll play with some more of the functions here just to kind of understand the API and what we're running into for a little bit longer. And then I'll call it quits for the day. And then tomorrow we can take what we learned and start actually working on some real logic. Maybe we can tie it to a database or something like that. Save users. Maybe we can do like a currency thing like Begin has, where people can give props to each other or something. Throw out some ideas for that stuff and we can start implementing that tomorrow. So let's figure out what else we have as part of this API surface area. So I have no idea what a clear chat message is or a clear message. Thanks for the sub, Cassius. Now you get all of the, I think you get some of the cool little gopher emotes I put in there. If not, I gotta figure out how to give you the rest of them. Thanks for the follow, Foreign Live. Okay, so we've got Whisper, we've got Say. Let's get a user list. I think that'll be cool too. Oh, sweet, you did get the gopher mic drop. I freaking love that thing. Okay, so user list. Yes, let's do that. And then, oh, that's the other thing I want to figure out too. Oh, this is the IRC client. Never mind. I was gonna say I want to figure out follows and subs and things like that. How do we manage that? But we need to do that with the Helix library. So, oh, right. Those are mod actions. Awesome. Thanks for the sub, Joker. Is this for the gopher mic drop? So
yeah.
It never gets old. It never gets old. All right, wait.
Cassius dropped gopherize.me in the chat.
Wait, we also have facepalm gopher and this is fine gopher. Okay, so let's get a user list. And let's do a vote too before like too many people drop for today. Tomorrow, what do we want to work on? Do we want to continue chat interaction, or do we want to play with the Helix API for webhooks to try to figure out things like subs and follows and all of that stuff? Oh, thanks for the follow. Everybody wants mic drop gopher. I love it. I want to see this OBS stuff. Is that an option? Yeah. Okay, let's make that the plan. Aaron, are you in? So today we'll figure out playing with this to figure out what we need to do. And then tomorrow we will take the chat message and we will allow people to do some sort of command that the bot will pick up and then do something in OBS, like switch cameras, or I don't know. I threw out some ideas like add filters and changes to my voice, or add filters or stuff to the camera itself. I think it'd be really fun to allow people to run commands to interact with it.
For sure. I'm in. I'm doing a Go stream at 10 Pacific. Except for 10 Pacific, I'm in.
All right, sweet. So maybe I'll do it butted up to yours. Okay, so, and yeah, AR. Let's put it in. You want to link your channel in the room too, so if anybody wants to follow yours. What was the topic for tomorrow?
I'm doing JSON. I'm building a REST API server with like the JSON libraries and a web server called Echo.
Oh, cool. I know there were a few people in the channel this morning or yesterday morning that were asking about what libraries are best for web frameworks and things like that. We talked about it a little bit.
JSON. Yeah. Is it Jason or JSON?
Yeah,
I never know.
it depends on how fast I'm speaking. If I'm talking slowly, I will say Jason.
JSON.
But if I'm like on like a huge sort of like ramble, it usually comes out as Jason.
Is this going to be the GIF versus GIF?
I hate people that say, "Are you regretting the sub already, Isaiah?" All right. So, let's get our user list.
Yep.
All right, user list, and this returned back our list and an error. So if error not equal to nil, we're gonna have to do some better error handling too, but we're just gonna print for now. We're gonna print our error, and else we're going to range over this. So we want our user range over our list, and we're gonna print out a user. What is it? What's the list of? Is it a Twitch user or is it a list of strings? It's a list of strings. Okay, so it does not get us the user object for it. Or I say object, it's not really an object, but we can think about it that way. Okay. JSON. Okay, so you actually spell out the acronym. All right, not enough arguments and call to client user list. Why? What do we need? Because we need the channel name. This is interesting. So we have to supply that. Well, I mean, I guess the bot could be in a number of channels, right? So what did I say? It was Twitch user. SCOOL-L. I like it. Okay, so we're connected, but we did not get a user list. Why did we not get a user list? Is there...
Is there a callback for that one?
No.
No.
It just says it returns the user list. And it just returns a slice of strings. So I don't see why we wouldn't be able to get the why that wouldn't return. Although there was like a weird what web server are you using for your Twitch bot? So it doesn't currently have a web server built into it. I will probably just use the standard library. However, depending on how much functionality it has, if for instance if I get into doing like an OBS browser source for things, or we start doing things like where there's a website where you can see the amount of currency or things you've unlocked and things like that, then I will probably get into doing a web server. I have not used these yet, but the two I'm most interested in playing with is Chi, which looks like a pretty lightweight API server. I like stuff that's like this. I mostly use the NetHTTP package and Gorilla Mux for the routers. And Aaron, feel free to chime in here with sort of what your preferences are, because the NetHTTP library does not handle things like this, right? If you had a URL and after it was some sort of parameter that you wanted to get out, the
methods too. You
what
can't lock, like with the standard library, you can't lock it down to like, I just want to do an HTTP post. You have to like manually check that yourself.
right. So yeah, so you almost have to use a router if you're doing anything, that's parameterized URLs. Gorilla Mux is a good way to do that with just a straight net HTTP. The other one that I'm interested in looking at is Echo.
That's my jam.
See, so that's Aaron's jam too. So this probably will be what I end up using, just because I've been looking for a reason to mess with it. Let's see.
That's the one I'm going to use tomorrow.
Yes.
Shameless plug.
Oh, nice. Perfect. All right. I'm in. All right, so yes, a bot can be in multiple channels. Just call the join method multiple times with different channel names, right? Okay, user list might be a cached version, but you don't get a proper user list all the time depending on how many people are in the chat. So yeah, I noticed that even using the Twitch app, the numbers of who's in and who's on are always wrong. All right, so no web server. How is it connecting to Twitch? Oh, so you're talking about the web client library. So we're using a Twitch package that somebody else wrote that's technically connecting to IRC. But when we use the Helix one that connects to the web API, which is this one, under the hood, it's just using the net HTTP package. So as part of the standard library, there's a net HTTP package which we can do HTTP logic on. And it more than likely is using this under the hood. Okay, what other things we have? I used to use Chi, but I use Jin a lot these days. I used Jin a lot in the early days. I liked Jin. You have to send the channel name, client, user list, channel. Right, we did send that. At least I thought we did. Client user list, Twitch user, which is eric.dev, so that's the channel name. And we shouldn't need the hashtag because we didn't need it for the join. Separate service for each URL and use Nginx to proxy. I'd be interested to see something other than what I use. And on user join seems to have a delay. Okay, so this actually isn't on user join. This is us trying to fetch the current list of users. And that did not appear to work because we got this connected message. Let's see if this blocks. Let's see if this blocks. It does not block. So that means I want to print the length of the list because this may be returning no users. The length is 0.
Oh, Rocker Boo says user list comes a bit later. Is there a callback for user list somewhere?
Oh, so are you saying that we need to so the client library may not have received the user list yet, if I'm understanding you, Rocker Boo. And if that's the case, that means we really need to wait here. And let's just wait 2 seconds and see if this is enough. That would make sense, right? Just thinking about the way IRC works, right? The second you connect, that doesn't come through. On names message, yes. I don't know what we would do without you, Rocker. Like he's on point with all of the reminding me of how the Twitch protocol works, or not the Twitch, the IRC protocol works. So we want on names message. So that is what on names message is. So if we take this and we come in here and let's just add this callback, client on names message. We don't need to name it. Here is where we want our user list printing. Okay, so in theory, let's just add some formatting here. Okay. I've been making an Elixir bot the last 2 weeks. Oh, awesome. Are you streaming that? I haven't done much Elixir, but a lot of people really love it, and I've been trying to get into it. I do mine in OnConnect. I do load them into a map that I newed up outside of the func. Well, undefined names message. What?
Oh, yeah, you have to do Twitch, yeah.
Oh, wait. We forgot the package name. Twitch.namesMessage. It's important. You should stream more. I've been watching a lot more streaming recently. I'm enjoying it a lot, and some of the fellow live coders team are ridiculously creative with stuff. Oh, I wish I could think up some of the crap. I was watching somebody last night, Aaron, and when his channel was raided, the screen turned into a bunch of rocket ships all over it with names of the people who joined, and they're going all over, and you have to like exclamation point defend all of the people who are in the channel, which gives you a rocket ship on the screen to attack them. That was freaking cool. And like I wish I had the creativity.
There was one, it was one of our coworkers, Nina, that you could control her. She had a headband with a bunch of LEDs. You could like control that from chat.
Oh,
That
wow.
was pretty cool.
So this did not work. It said we have 0 users, but we did get the on names message. Wait, what is in the message? What's in you? The channel? Oh, look at that. We don't even need all that. So why is there a users list function if this is the way?
Do you have to call user? Do you have to call users list in on Connect to make this callback get called?
No, because the function itself returned the list. That was the crazy thing about it.
Oh yeah.
But I think this is going to work.
Users list is a cache.
Oh. So we have to wait till that happens and then. But when this happened, that cache wasn't populated. Maybe it gets populated after this function. Yeah. I bet that's the case. This callback is called before the cache is populated. Ooh,
lucky number 11.
So we had 34 users. Oh, okay, so this is, we're iterating over them.
Cache is king. That's why they loaded into a map. Okay, I'm seeing it.
Okay, so right, that's why they load it into a map. Oh, thanks for the raid, Lucky. What were you working on? A raid. Too bad we don't have the rocket ship thing. Oh. I think we need gophers for that though. Okay, so so where is our issue here? So this is returning a list of string, or a list. It's returning a slice of strings, right? Defend, defend, defend.
Oh, Lucky was working on a heart rate monitor overlay.
Wait, that's what? Cool. What language? That's awesome. And here we are building chatbots. C#. Oh, nice. And Vue. Vue is one of those things I've been meaning to play with. So I have some experience in React and earlier technologies that'll date me if I talk about them. But Vue is one that I really want to play with. And also Svelte is one I've been itching to find an excuse to use.
Lincoln for Svelte. I love Svelte.
So we've got our slice of users, but the users are IDs and not names. So how do we map these to names? Vue is very much a back-end coder's dream. Is it very similar? And so I used to work with Sarah Drasner, and I love Sarah, and I feel ashamed that I still have not played with Vue after years of telling her that I would. But I need to make that a thing. I need to find when you're streaming so I can jump in and watch. Am I sitting here knowing only C++ and a bit of C? Oh, and I'm sitting here. Hey, C++ and C are still super valuable. I have a lot of hardware over here that needs C and C++. and I don't really have an option to do it in anything else, although I've been attempting to learn Rust for it.
Voltred, is that also you've been writing D? What's that XD part?
Yeah. I think that's just a smiley.
Oh, smiley. Okay. I'm like, yeah.
You got me confused. I thought that's what it was at first. I'm like, wait, does XD have a meaning?
I know.
Have I been missing this the whole time? Okay.
Am I emoji illiterate? Emoticon. I guess it's an emoticon.
All right. So Rocker knows this. How do we map this? If this on names message is only returning us IDs and not... Wait, let's look at this names message just to be sure. So yeah, users is a list of... You lie. It says list of user names.
Oh.
And we have...
Is there anything in the message type?
Message.users, which that is what this is, right? Names message.users is a slice of strings which it says are usernames. But it is lying to us because these are not usernames, those are IDs. So, are you listening to Twitch IRC? Yeah, so we are connected using this library that I found. I don't know. I've been trying to find a library that somebody is already done in Go for the Twitch API, both for IRC and the Helix API. I found some. They're all in various stages of brokenness and abandonment, so we may have to write our own. But the hope was that they'd be a good starting point, and maybe we could contribute back. So we figured out a couple of things with weird names where it blocks when you wouldn't expect it to block. However, this is confusing because its own documentation says that that is a list of user names. So names respond to the /names IRC command. Oh, I don't know. That's an implementation detail. The raw message is names. My Twitch ID. Are you sure that those are user IDs? Should the ID start with 0? Right. So that list. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. This is my fault. So this range is going to give us the index in the list as well as the value. And because I was just using one thing, it gave us the index into the slice. And you can all burn my book now. All right, so one user. Wait a second. That doesn't make any sense.
Weird. I thought it had all of them last time.
It did. So why is it only giving us one now? Oh, names is not accurate. Yeah, I noticed that with all of the apps too, where it randomly will tell you have, two people watching, and then somebody else says you've got 30 people watching you, and names is run on a batch process. It will catch up eventually. Okay, so in theory, this should run for some period of time, and then we should get a new names message. Do we get notified of new names automatically, or do we have to keep querying for them? My guess is this on names message means that it's just going to be an event that takes place at some interval. Names happens on join. So when somebody new joins, we get a user join message, and then we should also receive... We did not add that in here too. Let's go ahead and do that one while we're at it. On join. So do we get an updated names list though when the state changes? So this is That's us departing. On global user state message. I'm gonna have to put some of these in there. Okay. On user part, on user join. Let's add these two. So you don't get an updated one.
I'm starting to see why you need like a cache, because you get the first list and then you start getting more and more over time.
Well, you should, in theory, just good design, you should be handed your state first, right? Mm-hmm. So lucky number 7 says that names may be going away at some point, but how would you get the users that were already there before your bot joined? You would need some way of asking for its current state so that you could then reconcile with that. Oh, okay, so they're going to work on a replacement for it. Okay. Hopefully that is mo beta. All right. Oh, let's remove that. Okay, so this should get us users when they join. And for anybody who's just joining, this is like our rough scratch pad of experimenting with this library and kind of figuring out kind of the quirks of it and how it works. And then we're going to take this tomorrow and we're going to try to implement some commands and probably hook it up to the OBS WebSocket plugin and maybe give everybody some commands to mess around with my OBS. Okay, so there are user notice and user state messages that come through. I don't think they contain names, so there's a names message, but it is not consistent. Having the chat in the terminal output is kind of nice. It is kind of nice. There's a separate undocumented chatters endpoint, which most folks use. Okay, so the chatters endpoint is not part of the IRC protocol, though, right? So what we're saying here really is that we don't want to use this for keeping track of our users, that it's just garbage, that we should really use the Helix API for doing that. Okay, so maybe we should do that instead. All right, random question. I'm working on a script that's pulling queries from website. I've got some 8 instances of this browser open with Selenium, and it's absolutely thrashing my CPU. You think maybe a GUI-less browser would be gentler on my CPU and allow me to have more instances open? I mean, a headless browser may help. It really depends on what your application is doing specifically, and how heavy that is. I mean, not having to draw the window. Yeah, I guess not having to paint the window might help. I guess I've never done performance comparisons between the headless browser, and I suppose it would probably depend on the headless browser implementation too. Well, this is...
Can Selenium still do all of its work with a headless browser? Probably, right?
I haven't used Selenium in over a decade. I moved on, and there were was it like in the Ruby world? It was like Capybara. Was that it?
Yeah.
And some headless. Well, we don't want that. We want Ruby. Now I'm trying to remember when I did Ruby.
I remember Capybara.
Yeah. It is agnostic about the driver running your tests and comes with rack test and Selenium support built in.
Oh, WebKit through an external gem. Okay.
I didn't think browsers were really heavy on CPU load. They're heavy on memory. I wonder what's using most of my memory right now. Oh, we've got a bunch of Go, man.
VS Code with all of its Electron app.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, you've got Go Please kind of up there.
Oh, Phantom.js is good too. I like Phantom.js. Okay, so on user join message, let's play with a couple of these real quick. So joined. I don't know whether we're gonna have anybody join, but user. I guess we need to remember for tomorrow. We're not going to do it now because we're just experimenting with the API. Check channel. Because this is going to be important. This callback is going to be called for every channel we have joined. And, in our particular bot's case, it may only be in one channel. But it could, in theory, be in multiple. So let's check just to be sure. So where's our names message? Do not use this. It is garbage. Okay. And then you'll have to remind me why. Is that 32 cores? It is technically 16 cores. I have 2 Xeon processors, each with 8 cores and hyperthreading, and then 128 gigs of DDR. The motherboard will support up to 1 terabyte. If you want to send me more RAM, I will gladly put it in there. And then an RTX 2080 Ti. And I don't game on this machine either, which drives friends of mine absolutely nuts. And a hardware RAID card with 1 gig of RAM on it. It's insane. I didn't think it's memory 2, but I'm resting at 1016 used CPU. That's it is. So there's a story behind that too. I used to work for a credit bureau. So it's a long history, but I used to work for a credit bureau and then a fraud detection company. And then I worked doing some distributed system stuff at Comcast, designing how video multiplexing and streaming worked around the country. So I was often building distributed systems. And in building distributed systems, you want to simulate things. So I would run multiple machines, multiple virtual machines, and then simulate latency between them, or introducing traffic control rules to drop packets, reorder packets, things like that, to do end-to-end testing of those distributed systems to figure out how they would tolerate things like that and to write code against that. And then I got a job at a cloud provider where I can spin up whatever I want. And now my machine is just ridiculous overkill. It's kind of funny though. And it used to drive people nuts. Before I did this Windows and VS Code experiment that I'm on now, I was Arch Linux and Vim. So it would drove people nuts. You're like, you're not even using 1 gig of memory. All right. My poor 4-core trying to do it's tough. So where were we at? I lost my train of thought. Oh, on user part, on user join. That's what we wanted. So yeah, we're just getting a feel for the surface area of this API, and then tomorrow we will set this aside and we'll use this as reference and build something. So on join, the message here, we should be able to copy this, and this is going to be our part message. And then we need to go. I just recently am trying out WSL as well, although I'm still on Vim. Yeah, WSL is really nice. I like it. There's a few things that I don't like because it doesn't actually have dbus and systemd, but for what most people use it for, it's great. And honestly, VS Code remote is super cool too. You can have Linux running in a VM somewhere else and then just use VS Code remote, and it would look just like this, and you wouldn't really know that this terminal down here and this code didn't actually exist on your machine.
I love that. Voltrat, props to the Threadripper. I have one of those too. I love it.
Yeah, Brian Kettleson has a Threadripper too. That thing's pretty gnarly. I think he's actually paving that today and putting Arch on it, which has got me just itching to pave my machine and put Linux back on it. But I'm trying. Yeah. I'm trying to do the Windows thing and kind of understand the pains that Windows developers suffer. Not that Linux developers don't suffer. Yeah. See, now we have users. What is this? It's so unpredictable. So, all right. Well, I guess this time it decided to give us a list of users. And then it came again and only gave us 4 users. It just works, and it seems, at least from what I've used, it's also like it because I do game. Yeah, so there's some cool stuff coming out too. I think it's in preview. GPU support in WSL, which I'm really waiting for. I want to do some stuff, i3 and everything. Just remote X from WSL and see if I can do i3 in a window on my monitor. I'm game. All right, so I don't know whether we're going to see somebody come and go from the channel, but we have joins and parts. Who wants to take one for the team and leave the channel and come back? And now, if you volunteer, you volunteered permanently. So if it does not work, you have to be the person who keeps going and coming back in. So, all right. Yeah, I did not see join and part messages. So this did not work the way we anticipated it to either. Huh.
Joker Dan left and came back.
Yeah, so
Rockaroo, it's not instant.
Oh, it's not instant. Of course it's not.
Nothing is guaranteed.
Right? Yeah, I mean, apparently we can get no users in our call, and then we can get 39, and then immediately get the same message with 4 people in it. Here we go. Here's our parts. Join is also not instant. So in theory, we should see these people leave unless they legitimately left because they were getting annoyed. And then we just publicly embarrassed them, or maybe not. Sort of like the comedian who calls you out for walking out of the room. All right, so I was getting a Ryzen for next PC anyway. Might as well. I want to upgrade the CPUs in mine. I'm actually really tempted. I built this a few years ago, so they're like 2.4 gigahertz is the clock speed. But I want to say for about $400 per processor, I can bump them up to 3.6. And I feel like $800 to gain an extra 1.2 gigahertz is worth it. All right.
So with Xeons?
What's that?
Are you going to stick with Xeons?
Based on this motherboard, it may be my only option because it's the 2011 V3 socket. There may be some i7s or i9s that go in that socket, but I think it's mostly Xeons.
You should get an i9 if you can. I've been hearing awesome stuff about those. I want one now too.
Okay, so I saw... Yeah, we're still not seeing the joins. Reminds me of some random heckler at Bo Burnham show. Dude was walking out and Bo called him out asking where he was going, and the dude replied to get another drink, so you'll be funnier was the best. Nice. Yeah, I don't even care if I have to go to the bathroom. I am holding it until, intermission. I'm not setting myself up for that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we don't want to use any of this. Oh, wait. So joined. So this is not the 2 people we saw leave. And then that is not also. And then we saw Joker Dan leave, and then Joker Dan send us a message. It's the ghost of Joker Dan. Okay. I was making good money at the time and hadn't upgraded my PC for 8 years, so I didn't mind spending some serious cash. That's actually, I went laptops for a while, and one of the things that brought me back to doing PCs and towers is actually the upgrade thing, right? Like, we have laptops for a few years, and granted, specs aren't changing significantly on them, but when they're dead, and most of us are buying $2,000 and $3,000 laptops now who do this for a living, and that's freaking expensive. Whereas something like this, I mean, I spent a lot of money building this tower years ago, but a couple years pass and I'm like, you know what? It has a GTX 980 in it. I'm gonna put $1,000 into it and put a RTX 2080 in it. And then a year or two later goes by and I'm like, the CPU frequency is kind of down. I'm gonna spend $800 and upgrade it. So it's like this constant evolution rather than throw it all away and pay a boatload of money to get one thing slightly better.
Isaiah, if you
Okay.
get a big machine and then mine Bitcoin, that could probably heat your house. So
Yeah.
save on that.
I will set up a camera so that I can show you this tower, or I can send out a picture or something. I'll have one pulled up for tomorrow's stream or something, and I'll show you this tower. It is almost as tall as my desk, so it almost lines up with my desk, and it has 16 fans in it.
Oh my God.
And yeah, because the processors are liquid cooled, and then so there is a radiator, 2 radiators, one for each processor. And then each of those has 4 fans on it, push and pull. So there's 2 on this side of the radiator, 2 on this side. One's pushing air into the radiator, the other side pulling air out.
Oh my.
Yeah, it can sound like an airplane taking off. So, is there? Let's see. It's about 5 p.m. here. I may break for the day, and we got a lot of people here, and sucks leaving you all. But I may break for the day. It looks like we got a kind of a good idea of the main things that we're going to do here. We might play with some of these other messages, but I think we have the parts figured out that we want to figure out for tomorrow, which is being able to read messages and send messages. So especially if the project we're going to work on is just modifying or getting OBS to do crazy stuff, yeah, we'll need to implement WebSockets. I'll get OBS WebSockets installed tonight, so that's ready to go tomorrow. And then we just need to come up with a command, and what we do uses it as a desk prop. Nice. So did anybody have any questions about anything Go related or this project and what we're doing before tomorrow? Happy to answer a couple of those before we go. Aaron, you are streaming what, 10 tomorrow?
10 Pacific.
10 Pacific tomorrow. And that will be on this Echo web server thing that we will likely be using for whatever web-facing part of this bot we build. So I will be tuning into that myself so that I can get up to speed on it. And then I guess we can roll into directly after that. If you want to join me again, Aaron, we'll jump on here and we'll see how much further we can get.
Yeah, I wanted to do 2 hours. Can we do? Can I come into yours at noon, 3 your time?
Yeah. I'll kick it off. I don't know, maybe around like 1 o'clock. Wait, 1. Oh yeah, I'll kick mine off. Nah, I want to watch yours too. I'll figure it out. But yeah, I'll either start at 1 or we'll start together at 3.
Okay, your call.
So
yeah,
it depends on how much I itch to do some other stuff on this. How are you guys going to host your bot? We are going to put it on Azure because Azure gives us free stuff. Yeah, I mean, it should be pretty straightforward. It's a Go binary, so we could deploy it anywhere. We could set up a $5 DigitalOcean droplet or something like that to run it on. I've got one of those running. I've got a dedicated server for some old projects, side projects and stuff I've done for people. We could put it on, but we might just run it inside of Azure or something like that. That way we can take advantage of like a managed database and things like that. Kubernetes and Helm. We can do it in containers. If everybody wants to use this as also an opportunity to be introduced into containers and container orchestration, we can totally go there. We'll take this thing, we'll create a Docker file for it and containerize it. We'll talk about Docker and containerization. And I mean, a Kubernetes cluster for our bot probably feels a lot of overkill. But
it's gonna be so scalable though.
But we could do it. We could do it. I mean, I suppose we could use like microcates or something like that running inside of an ACI container or something, right? But yeah, it would be pretty funny. And yeah, uh, it's actually a thing that drives me crazy too sometimes is when we adopt technologies for the sake of adopting them, right?
Yeah.
It's like everybody's going to Kubernetes. We must go to Kubernetes. I love Kubernetes. Aaron loves Kubernetes. We've been doing this stuff for years. We contribute to it. We that's effectively a lot of what we do at Microsoft is container based things. And I'll be the first one to tell you, like, if you're running on 2 DigitalOcean droplets right now, please don't move to Kubernetes. You're gonna have a bad day.
Yeah.
It
But if you want to do containers, like use ACI, or on the Google side, it's Cloud Run. Amazon
yeah.
has one too. Like, just do that.
Yeah, that's also a fair point. You can adopt containers without adopting container orchestration. You can totally
Joke.
do that. Azure has things like also app service, the web apps for containers. If it's a web-based thing, there's tons of people's products out there. I'm not as familiar. I'm sure all of the cloud providers have their own things for this, but there's lots of options for leveraging containers without having to adopt Kubernetes too.
Joker Dan says there was a repo that he worked on with 37% Helm files and drone CI. That's
Whoa.
crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry, Joker.
So GitHub has those metrics of like what percentage of a language is across all projects. I'm very eager to see in the next 5 years whether YAML takes over like as number one.
Can you imagine like the Stack Overflow? Like the top language was YAML.
Yeah. It's just oh. All right, so I think I'm going to call it for today. Thank you, everybody who came over as part of the original raids, or I think it was like 2 subsequent raids. Oh, thanks for the follow, Chiner? I don't know how to pronounce that. And thanks for all of the subsequent raids too. This has been a lot of fun. Check out Aaron's stream tomorrow where he talks about Echo, this web framework in Go. And then after that, or in parallel with that, I'll start kicking off working on this GoBot and getting it to talk to OBS, and we can come up with some fun effects we can do. Yeah, we'll harass him. Don't worry. Yeah, I can't be the only one. You have to harass Aaron too. So
Yeah, come harass me.
all right, thanks everybody.
Lots of Go tomorrow. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.